waking up to a cooler start for the day. Into the afternoon, plenty of sunshine and temps up just slightly. Plan for highs in the lower 90s with plenty of sunshine. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
Jiffy Lube has all kinds of oil change specials and auto maintenance deals going on. Visit JiffyLubeCA.com for $20 off your next oil change and receive a bonus $25 gift card with online submission afterwards. See store for details. Visit Jiffy Lube today for all your oil change and summer driving needs.
The flagship.
Ball game. Sacramento wins.
KHTK AM and HD1 Sacramento. KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios. Sactown Sports 1140. The flagship station of your Sacramento Kings. It's the Carmichael Dave Show.
He's on the microphone. When he's not on the microphone, he's playing a song. And when he's not playing a song, he's on the microphone. And then boom.
With Jason Ross.
Jay, hey, my headset's
Text or call the show at 916-339-1140. It's the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross on Sactown Sports 1140.
Is that right? Is it really the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross? Because I'm in here and I don't see Jason Ross. Is he here? Does he exist? Is he somewhere? Why is it silent in my ear? Oh, that's why. Oh, I hear is that a ghost? Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, Carmichael Dave.
Jason coming to you live from the Ross Studios in Rossland. How are you, buddy?
I'm great. How are you?
It throws you off a little bit, huh, this, or does it? You change things around?
I'm good. Let's roll, baby.
Let's roll. Well,
nice shirt.
Oh, it's my it's my little Republic t-shirt. Got that to celebrate the big win a couple weeks ago and get ready for the hopefully even bigger win in Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
I'm nervous about that game. I am. I've already convinced myself we're going to lose.
You're good at that.
I am. It's just
it's your defense mechanism.
It is. It is my 100% defense mechanism because, hey, it's Sacramento. Good morning, everybody. 6:02, August 10th, 2022. And we got a big show for you. I was thinking last night. That's never a great thing. Okay, a couple things I was thinking about. Number one, we had there's a sale on artichokes. It's exciting. So we had artichokes last night, and I was thinking about all the different things people dip their artichokes in. Are you an artichoke guy, Jason?
I would say no, but I have them and I dip them. But honestly, I don't know the last time I've had them. It's been a long time.
We wait until they've gotten very expensive. We even tried to put an artichoke bush, I think, in our backyard, and it didn't work out.
Is that the most wasted item of food as far as totality? I mean, don't you just eat the ends generally?
Yeah, you eat the ends and then you eat we eat the heart.
Right. But there's a lot of waste in there. I guess, you just can't eat the other parts.
No, you're right. And I mean, I guess corn on the cob would give you a run for the money. I got to think about that now.
Yeah.
But you're right. Artichoke is certainly up there. And I was thinking about, because we do a thing where it's like mayo, Dijon, and then a little bit of lemon juice. It's an aioli. But I was thinking kind of to your point about the artichoke, like shout out, and I'm serious here, shout out to all the people that either died or got terribly sick exploring new foods.
Yeah,
thousands of years ago. Like, I don't know when the artichoke got found and discovered as a food, and it was probably like in Roman times because that's always what it is. But imagine you have this giant thistle thing, and okay, so we got to boil it. We can only eat the ends, and then there's this mushy thing on the inside, but we have to get rid of the other stuff. And if you've ever eaten a part of an artichoke that you're not supposed to eat, it kind of it's a little, or no pun intended, choky in your mouth, in your throat. But how did they discover the artichoke?
Right. And how many failed missions were happening first?
That's what I'm saying. How many other things? How many people picked red berries? This looks good. Let's try these. Ragnock died eating that. Maybe we need to boil them.
Well, maybe that's how it's named. Maybe Art Choke was the one that got us going.
and then his kid, Sunchoke, did the other one.
So I've done expert research.
Oh, have you?
Oh, wait. Wow.
Excellent.
So get this. There was a debate over whether the artichoke was a food among the ancient Greeks and Romans or whether the cultivator was developed later, with classical sources referring instead to the wild cardoon.
The wild cardoon.
The cardoon is mentioned as the cardoon is mentioned as a garden plant in the 8th century BCE by Homer and Hesiod.
Oh, Homer.
Pliny the Elder mentioned growing of cardos.
Pliny the Elder.
And Carthage and Corbota. So there you go.
Okay.
Homer and Hesiod, wasn't that our morning show in the 80s?
It was. Then went on to do The Simpsons. That was neat. Pliny the Elder was a beer. That lived a long time
very
ago.
Popular beer.
Very popular beer.
Resurgence.
It's always the Romans or Greeks, isn't it, though? That's always what pops up.
It's all Greek to me.
It's all Greek. Yeah, and by the way, I don't buy it. I think the Romans and Greeks get too much credit.
Would you guys like to know the top 12 global artichoke producers as of 2020?
Okay, I can tell you this. There's at least a couple or one that's got to be. You mean like companies or states or areas?
Countries.
Okay, because U.S. has got to be there.
U.S.
And
is
the
on
list
there.
is 12? That's an odd list.
That is an odd list. Because you have to have a climate for it.
Well, it says 12, but there's 13. Anyways, I'll go in order.
Always an extra layer.
Yeah.
I'll go in order from least to most.
Okay.
So
this is great.
France.
Yeah.
Tunisia.
Yeah.
Turkey.
No, I'm not. I'm Turkey.
United States.
Oh, okay.
That's us.
Morocco.
Ooh.
China. Peru.
Okay.
Argentina.
Ooh.
Algeria.
I don't know why I'm reacting to everyone.
Spain.
Oh, Spanish artichokes.
Egypt. Number 2. And coming in at number 1, Italy.
Yeah. Italian artichokes are just the best.
Yeah, the way they're seasoned too is just amazing.
Just amazing. So I was really thinking about the humble artichoke last night. We had a chicken thighs, artichoke, and rice. And last night my daughter had the band thing, and my son we're getting back into it now. Today is the first day of school for many, including my children, who now I have to be careful. The 8 o'clock hour has to be completely different.
Oh boy.
Yeah. 8 to 8:30. That's trouble. As they're back, and my daughter has already started her yearly stress out of, God knows what. She got, everyone was swimming over the weekend because we had family over, and she got a little bit of sunburn on her face. So did my son, who gets sunburned if he goes outside at any point. And
if the lights are on.
Yeah, if the lights are on, exactly.
Well, it's part of his disorder.
That is exactly. It's part of it's a gingosity, and
it's actually gingitis.
Is it gingitis? Yeah. Gingitis. She was very afraid that she was going to be peeling when she went back to school.
What grades are we entering here?
Okay, so we got an 8th grader with the boy, and we got a sophomore.
Wow, a sophomore.
And the thing is this, and we can all understand this, and disclaimer: love my kids. But we can all. I think this is true. Sophomores in high school are just the dumbest kid. It's the dumbest. It's the worst stage for kids.
Really?
Sophomore that year, they're almost.
That's what, 15 going to 16?
Yeah, well, she's 14. She'll be 15 in October.
15, yeah.
So right there, but she's a little on the younger side for that.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So let's call it 15. It's like you don't make good decisions. Your brain's all over the place. I tell her things, and she just in one ear out the other. Everything sucks. Everything's stressful. We had a moment last week. It was one of the worst moments for me as a parent. I mean, literally. And I've been through 2 births. I've been through febrile seizures, 104-degree fevers, all the stuff that we've all been through, and some far, far worse, knock on wood. Where I'm bringing her home from her little band thing that they started 2 weeks early. And she goes, "Hey, Daddy, God, I don't even want to say this out loud. Hey, Daddy, can we listen to Radiohead?" just
That was the crisis moment.
disgusting.
Yeah, I mean that is a crisis moment.
It really, I almost pulled over the side of the road.
That's one of those like daddy's going to put you up for adoption, but this time he's not playing.
Not playing at all. And so
we had me pull over.
Right, exactly. We had a long talk. I gave her the 6 Radiohead songs that are acceptable to play.
Did she agree?
She played me the one that she had heard because she's just starting to get into music. Her own little, whatever music. And she played me one, and it like 95% of Radiohead songs. It sounded like a sound check before a concert. There was no anything to it, and some whining and a little bit of whatever there. And yes, Jay Mars.
Is this the most rebellious thing she's ever done, like personally to you?
Yep. It is. It's not, Daddy. I think I like the Lakers. Even her loving going down to Southern California with my sister. I at least get that. It's in her blood. It can't be helped. She's going to be an LA kid. I know this, but something about her liking Radiohead. And I had to explain to her, listen, that's not going to work. Now, if you want to bring me Coldplay, Creed, good bands, go right ahead. But the problem is that she's kind of a half musician. And like most musicians, they like stuff that sounds weird.
Well, maybe you can tap into that other half. Because if this is the beginning of a downward spiral between you two, you'll know this is the reference point.
That it all started at Radiohead?
It did.
Yeah, that's the thing. Musicians are like chefs. If you've ever watched a cooking show, you'll notice, what do they make? They make like braised pig testes with a heart gravy over brain. And they're very much into these weird things because they get bored with the other stuff. And I found musicians are the same way. They don't like anything popular or that sounds good.
Your daughter's Gen Z, right?
I don't know. 2007?
I think she's right there. So Gen Z loves to discover like old things and claim it as their own. So you can take advantage of this. So like Radiohead is, it's not old, but it's older.
Sure.
So what you got to find a way is to like slip good older music. Yes. Okay. Like show her Annie Lennox.
She enjoys the Beatles.
There you go.
Very much so. Michael Jackson enjoys that. That we have sprinkled in some older stuff. I have to. Is there anything after Gen Z, by the way? Is that the last one we have?
No, Alpha.
I think, isn't she? What? Isn't that the?
Let me look.
Yeah.
The crack research team will get on it.
Don't we have to take a break here anyways? All right. Listen, we'll get started. Jason from the J Ross Studios.
And Alpha.
Yeah, I know. I don't. It all gets.
I need a scorecard.
I don't even know what we are. Aren't you X?
I don't know.
You guys are both X.
Are you sure? When does X cut off? I thought X cut off before me.
X cuts off at 81 is the start of millennials.
Oh, then I'm X. Barely X. Like super close to a millennial. Like so close, bro.
So close.
It's a new era.
I'm a geriatric millennial.
Yeah, and I love that. It just makes you sound older than Gen X.
Well, basically, we're like caught between millennial and Gen X.
San Francisco is enjoying a new era. Well, they're not enjoying it yet. They're prepping for a new era. It's the same old story in Oakland's. Bad news between my two favorite teams in Southern California. Leading off in a big fat hairy show for you is next.
Sactown Sports 1140 is broadcasting live on YouTube.
To me, it's a must-watch.
Check out the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross and the Cattles and Rami Show. Plus, get exclusive content. Search Sactown Sports 1140 on YouTube.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave from my good friend Shelby at United Wholesale Lending. Shelby, Peter, the whole team over there at refinancewithshelby.com, making it happen. Listen, local lender, a reputation to uphold. With other banks, you're just a number. Why would you possibly want to purchase or refinance from someplace in Southern California or Florida or Texas or Ohio? Why don't you try purchasing or refinancing with local folks that live amongst us, that worry about word of mouth, that know the title companies, that know the appraisers, and if you're trying to purchase, that know the realtors? So when realtors are looking at multiple offers, they say, you know what? I've worked with Shelby before a bunch of times, and I know if you got a pre-approval from him, your deal is going through. They can close a purchase loan in 17 days. That's speed on your side with a local lender. You can compete with cash offers. Refinance with Shelby.com. NMLS number 279051. BRE number 01864354.
Let's do it.
It's time for Leading Off.
Brought to you by Lasher's Elk Grove Dodge, where for over 60 years, their name means a great deal in Elk Grove Auto Mall and online at elkgrovedodge.com. Here's cut number 1.
Jay, real quick, before we get to cut number 1, it just hit me. Your production is always wonderful, and this has played for a long time. Is the Just Do It Tone Loc from Funky Cold Medina?
Yes.
It hit, and well done. Good reference. Thanks. I just want you to know I appreciate that.
Thanks.
All right,
a year later.
Cut number 1. I said cut number 1.
On the 45, going to roll Trey Lance to the right. Has time. Going to throw back left on the over route. It is caught by Deebo Samuel inside the 10. Breaks a tackle. Touchdown! San Francisco!
Let's go, baby.
Dave Ryan, everyone.
Trey Lance was officially announced as the starter for the San Francisco 49ers yesterday. The long national nightmare is over. We know what we knew last year around this time is that Trey Lance would head up the 2022 Niners. But here it is. It's out of the way. It's all official. Here we go. And out of camp right now, and we're going to discuss this a little bit later. We're going to do quite a bit of football today. There's all kinds of fun stuff coming out of camp, but I am most fascinated. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, Jason, with Brandon Ayuk. This could be incredibly interesting. We'll say this, no matter what happens with Trey Lance this year, as long as that line is able to hold, he has all the weapons he needs.
Absolutely. And I mean, this still goes back to the big investment when they made the trade that kind of came out of nowhere at the time. And when you do that, you certainly believe in a guy. They gave us that bridge year last year still with Jimmy G. And now it's Trey's time. And, you know, the other quarterbacks in that class maybe had a head start on him. But, Dave, he's got that roster. I mean, there's more pressure, I think, on Trey Lance because he can't just have a 7-10 year. This has to be a good playoff-bound team that he's a major part of.
I want to talk about this a little bit later. I know that when the trade happened, we broke stuff down. I'm sorry. When I mean the trade, I mean the trade with the Dolphins for the picks for Trey Lance. I'm trying to think of a historical comparison where a team gave up anything near what the Niners did to grab a guy that is relatively as inexperienced and obscure as Trey Lance was when he came out of North Dakota State. And I'm putting everybody on the spot. Don't worry about answering right now unless it's on the top of your head. But honestly, I don't know. I can't think of one.
The only thing I could think of, and it negates what you're saying about the experience part, was Ricky Williams, the Saints.
The
trade package
gave up their whole,
But again, Ricky Williams was a known commodity
out of Texas and just was huge. I mean, Trey Lance is a guy. What did he play? Like 9 games or something in his entire college career, and it wasn't at a. I mean, we're talking about North Dakota. We're not talking about a big school. We're not talking about Alabama. We're not talking about that. So yeah, this is like almost unless almost asterisk unless somebody can say no. What about this?
Well, one other one about Carson Wentz, same situation, same school. Philly went up all the way after the Rams moved up. I don't know exactly what their draft capital they gave up, but I know it was a lot.
Number 2, I think, is what Wentz went. Yeah, I think that would be the closest one. And yeah, you're right. Same school. Something weird about that school. Here's my thing. Although you can say this, Carson Wentz in his career has garnered an MVP vote once upon a time. I do hope the Trey Lance experiment goes better than the Carson Wentz experiment.
Agreed.
Number 2.
Cut number 2.
Man, he swings, hits it in the air to deep left. Peterson's going back. He's watching it. Gonna go! 3-run walk-off home run, Manny Machado. Forget about the blown save. 7-4. The Padres win it in the bottom of the 9th.
Yeah, this one ticked me off a little bit.
I thought it might.
Yeah, here's the thing, man. Josh Hader does not enjoy pitching against the San Francisco Giants. Mike Yastrzemski hit a walk-off granny against him the last time they faced each other. The Giants go in. Hader blows the save. The game ties up. As a matter of fact, Alex Pavlovich, who covers the Giants for NBC, great stat. Josh Hader has given up 9 runs in 3 games against the Giants.
Wow.
He's given up 10 runs in 37 games against everyone else this year.
That's crazy.
But, dude, the umpire behind the plate, and I don't like blaming umpires because they have a thankless job, but he just basically, bases loaded, forgot the strike zone at one point, cost the Giants a clear out. And it wasn't just one. It was multiple missed ball calls that he called a strike that were clearly out of the zone. There was no consistency whatsoever. Does that mean the Giants win the ball game? No. Does that mean they go up another run or go up a run? Yeah. And that changes things. So either way, they came back in a game they shouldn't have won. This would have been a game they probably shouldn't have won. But they end up getting walked off by Manny Machado. Hold on. The ball just came down, as a matter of fact. I was going to say it hasn't come down yet. I just saw it land up here. That was a moonshot, especially against the Giants defense that I thought was kind of weird. A moonshot to the right-handed Manny Machado, a moonshot against a defense that was shifted to the right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a weird
what
situation.
did they know? Certainly not what Rodgers was throwing, because that was gone. And where was Duvall? I mean, I don't know. I know that this is second guessing, but Camilo Duvall the night before shut down the meat of that order when they needed it, in the 1-0 game. And I thought, and when it happened, so it's not even second guessing, I think there's a curious move by Kapler, and obviously in the end, it didn't pay off.
No, it didn't. And at some point, Gabe Kapler has to take a nice look in at himself and at his pitching staff and wonder if Tyler Rogers needs to be in big situations anymore, because he's been a gas can. Yes, he's a unique submariner type pitcher, but he's just throwing meatballs. 7.71 ERA so far this month. He has 5 appearances, and I think that's why Kapler loves him. 5 appearances. He had 1 hold. 7.71 ERA. He had a 4.38 last month. He had a 2.57 the month before, but then a 9.53 the month before. My point is this: he's just incredibly inconsistent. Throw him in the 6th, 7th, something like that, but get him out. I'm tired of seeing Tyler Rogers in big situations.
Yeah, those high leverage. It would have been, to your point, it felt like a game they were going to steal or could steal, which would have been a great win. Instead, it turned into kind of a rough loss.
Number 3.
Cut number 3.
Into right field. I think he did. He has passed Ichiro for the second most home runs by a Japanese-born player, 118 of his career. He now has the team lead with 25. He's the starting pitcher. It's 5-0 Halos.
I love how he's throwing as a starting pitcher.
Yeah, 6 scoreless.
That's also true. I looked that up.
Shohei Ohtani batting .256, but hitting home runs. That's his 25th of the year. Meaning, when you combine what he did from the mound, Shohei Ohtani outscored the A's 1-0 last night. 6 innings, 4 hits, 5 strikeouts, 0 earned, and a 2.68 ERA. I'm glad the Angels. Well, okay, listen, I'm not glad the Angels won because they played the A's, but it does get frustrating as a baseball fan seeing Mike Trout when he's healthy, and then Shohei Ohtani efforts getting wasted. At least he's 10-7. He's got a 2.68 ERA. He's so much better of a pitcher than the record indicates.
Well, it goes back to what we've said about Trout before, but the same with Ohtani. I think people know who he is. I don't think that's a problem, but Dave, how much better would it be if he was doing that in a playoff game, or it's against the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Rays, whoever it might be in the postseason?
Yes.
That would be huge.
It would be.
It's not going to happen.
Nope, not anytime soon, that's for sure. 1 more year with the Angels. Very, very curious if he re-signs with them. I hope he doesn't, and that's nothing against the Angels. I just hope he goes to a market or a team where he can be, as you said, Jason, on display the way he deserves. Hey, listen, your air conditioner's on display all the time right now. It was unseasonably cool yesterday, but still 90s, and we've still got quite a, I'm sure, handful of 100-degree days ahead of us. Remember, fall does not, or should I say summer does not end in August. It ends in September. It's going to be hot. We still have another almost 2 months of heat going on. And then, by the way, it will get cooler at some point. Yes, in the future, you will use your heater. That means you're using all your HVAC system. And whether it's on its last legs or it's broken, American Energy has the deal for you. And they're going to put $2,500 in your pocket with the $2,500 rebate offer. Listen, you might be getting a quote, a very high quote, or a quote that you think is normal for replacing your HVAC system. All American Energy is saying is, let us be your second opinion partner. Just bring your quote to us. Let us beat it. Not match it. Who cares if they can match it? Then just go with the other place. They're saying they can beat it, and they can give you the rebate. And they've got 0% zero down financing options. It's the best deal out there for new HVAC equipment, but it only lasts till August 31st. They are local. They've been local since 81. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. Give them a call locally, 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com. That's AmericanEnergyAir.com. And please do tell them your good buddy Carmichael Dave sent you. You think we might have an issue with being addicted to our devices? I know I do. But it was on full display last night in baseball. This was goofy. I've never seen it before. We'll talk about it next.
Check out the Golf to Go Hour with Frank LaRosa every week on Sactown Sports 1140. Get the latest on equipment, area courses, people that play the great game, and plenty of good conversations about golf.
It's the Golf to Go Hour with Frank LaRosa.
Thursday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturday morning from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Sactown Sports 1140. Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop, America's most awarded golf facility, and Naturewood Home Furnishings, where it's all about choices and always about quality, and Safe Credit Union. Let us put you first.
The PGA Tour is back in Napa Valley with the Fortinet Championship, where fans experience every kind of cheers. Join us September 15th through the 18th at Silverado Resort and Spa for 4 days of world-class golf, Napa hospitality, and 2 nights of unforgettable performances featuring multi-platinum superstar Cole Swindell and Grammy-nominated powerhouse One Republic, all included with your daily ticket. Join Fortinet, Silicon Valley's leader in cybersecurity, at the Fortinet Championship. Secure your tickets now at FortinetChampionship.com.
5X480, Dayton B100 V-Belt, one of the many parts Grainger carries. It's also the item that helped Rob carry the day. The job was on hold, deadline fast approaching, but a quick search on Grainger.com and Rob found his part. And with same-day pickup at his local branch, he and his crew got the job done, safely and on time. Get supplies and solutions for every industry with real-time product availability. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Ron White, live.
Some things are exactly as they seem, folks. Killer whales kill. Pilot whales wear dark sunglasses. I'm not sure how the sperm whale got his name, but I'm not getting in the pool.
Saturday, August 27th, 8 p.m., Thunder Valley Outdoor Amphitheater. For the summer concert schedule and to purchase tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. Ron White, live for mature audiences.
I'm sure you've heard the phrase, let Safe Credit Union put you first. Well, that phrase is honest, genuine, and sincere. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa for Safe Credit Union. At Safe, you're not a number. You are part of a member-owned, community-focused family. Explore the benefits of saving, borrowing, and investing with a partner who puts you first. Safe Credit Union is insured by NCUA.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Xfinity Flex. It's a better way to watch. Well, a special day at the Coliseum on Sunday for the A's annual Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and a special nod to the ball club for including presenters this year. A's luminaries down on the field like Ricky and Reggie and Dave Stewart in Vida Blue. As the great Vin Scully used to say, in baseball, we knit it all together. Quite a tradition at the Coliseum. Ken Korak to tell you there's a reason Comcast Business powers more businesses than any other provider. Actually, there are a few. Comcast Business offers the fastest reliable network, the protection of security edge, and a reliable 5G network powering your mobile devices. Want me to keep going? I can. Whether your small business is starting or growing, you need Comcast Business. Log on to business.comcast.com for technology solutions that put you ahead and give you serious savings. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Something you probably do know. Progressive can not only offer you a great price when you bundle home and auto, they offer you round-the-clock protection. Something you probably don't know, it only takes 15 pounds of pressure to break a window. Something you probably do know, your neighbor practices chipping in the backyard. Something you probably don't know, a golf ball through your window would also take out your TV. Bundle your home and auto with Progressive and get more than a great price. Get round-the-clock protection. Something you know for the things you don't know. Coverage from Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers and subject to policy terms. Bundle discount not available in all states or situations.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. You're driving along and some nimrod cuts you off. You hit the horn. Jeez, it sounds like a goose in distress. Time to head over to eBay Motors. They have horns for every make and model, not to mention horn pads, steering wheels, wiring, and more. 122 million parts. You can even go for an upgrade. It looks like Mr. Cutoff Man needs a new seat cover. Try eBay Motors, pal. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
They've been here for a combined 50 years. The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross on Sactown Sports 1140.
Mike on the YouTube chat, and hello to Mike and MC and AA Ron and Greg and everybody in there, and Kevin and Earl and all the regulars. Go to Sactown Sports 1140. You can see us. I don't know if that's a positive sales point or not, but
well, you got to see the new graphics. They look great.
They do. Shout out to Chris Watkins and the whole digital crew. Continually add things to make us look and sound like a real radio station. What we lack in talent, they make up for it with work ethic. So thanks to them. And by we, I mean me, Jason. No shots. Yeah. Mike weighing in. My grandpa, because we were talking about artichokes and Radiohead earlier, which is a great combo. So my grandpa had this mayo and soy sauce mix that was amazing for artichokes, but he wasn't ever fancy enough to refer to it as an aioli. First off, soy sauce and that's interesting. I may have to give that a shot.
I like both. I've not had both together, I don't think.
Secondly, aioli. Aioli is a fancy word for flavored mayonnaise, by the way.
Yeah, what is technically? I know there is different types of aioli. I always wonder what is the components of aioli.
It's. I mean, honestly, it's mayonnaise. It's just.
Okay. But what else is generally in there?
Let me read the aioli is a cold sauce consisting of an emulsion of garlic, salt, olive oil, and often egg. By the way, that's mayonnaise.
Mm-hmm.
But it's usually with an aromatic. So if I take mayonnaise and I add in lemon juice and chili powder, I have an aioli. If I take mayonnaise and I add in a little bit of sriracha, I have an aioli. It's one of those chefy terms where instead of saying, hey, I barbecued a chicken thigh on the menu, it'll say smoke-kissed thigh of chicken over, Kansas City charcoal served with
a splash of aioli.
Exactly. And you're like, okay, well, so it's a barbecue
chicken with mayonnaise.
Yeah, exactly. It's chicken with mayonnaise. What are you going to do? Speaking of absolutely nothing, because there's no segue into this from what we were just talking about, the Pirates continue to amaze.
Oh, do they?
They're, I mean, amaze is a word. It doesn't mean good. Rodolfo Castro, he got this is great. He got called up to the big leagues. He got a callback. He came up and, hey, it was great. He was on base, and it was awesome. See, he was in AAA Indianapolis. And he walked in the fourth inning, and he went to third on, by the way, my favorite non-giant, O'Neal Cruz is single. By the way, if you haven't seen O'Neal Cruz in the Pittsburgh Pirates, you really need to. Castro slid headfirst into the bag to beat the throw, and the impact of the slide sent his phone flying from his back pocket. And I looked at it on replay. Very much looks like I believe that's an iPhone 12 Pro Max.
Good recognition.
Thank you. The third base umpire immediately saw the phone.
His look was great.
It was amazing, dude. He points to the ground. Here's your phone, dude. He picks up the phone, Castro did, handed it to the third base coach, who had a different look, not a happy look on his face.
He didn't make a call?
He probably should have. He's playing Angry Birds on his phone while he's on first. Quote, The umpires handled it very well and did a good job. There was no intent to do anything. He made a mistake. He kept his phone in the pocket. That was the manager there.
Yeah, there's so many things here. One, I mean, all kidding aside, I think it's funny. I mean, if you see the video, it is funny. But, I mean, we just had a really significant scandal in the sport with technology.
Yes.
And do I think something was up? No. But could something have been?
Yeah.
For sure. And then just, Dave, when I can imagine leaving your dugout, your clubhouse,
yes,
and maybe you have your phone. I'm gonna take it out to the field, maybe. And some guys probably have earbuds and listen to music, and okay. But then the game starts. You just at any point you don't feel that when you're on first that it's in your back pocket. When you're on second, that I don't know.
I 1,000,000,000% agree with you.
Or one of the thought about it too. Did he then realize, oh man, it's in my back pocket? I'm sliding head first.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, right? I can't slide on my phone. I agree with you. You got to think almost a guy coming up from AAA, especially. It wasn't intentional.
Right.
He just had it in his pocket. He forgot to take it out of his pocket. He went out there. But I'm going to say this in all seriousness. If baseball is smart and normal, first off, we have no way of telling. We can think it wasn't on purpose, but that couldn't be less important. He should probably be suspended at least 1 to 3 games. And both he and the Pirates organization should get a heavy fine. Jay.
I disagree, and here's why.
Uh-huh.
You're a young kid, not you, but you've been young.
Yep.
You've done things.
Uh-huh.
He plays for the Pittsburgh freaking Pirates.
Shouldn't matter.
What is more interesting?
Listen, this is an unfortunate.
Hold on, I'm not done.
All right.
And I want you to answer honestly. What is more interesting? You're sitting in the outfield or on the base path for one of the worst teams of the last 30 years.
I hear you.
This year, too.
I hear
What's
you.
more interesting? What's going on in the game in the middle of August, or who's sliding in your DMs on IG?
100% agree with you. Or whatever game he's probably playing slots.
For reals.
Yes.
I get it. It wasn't
a streak.
It wasn't intentional. It was seriously, I'm sure I would bet money you could hook him up to a lie detector test. It was absolutely an accident from a very nervous 23-year-old kid coming up from AAA. Here's the problem, Jason. You called it. They had a scandal that rocked the entire league. You had people fired. You had picks lost. You had suspensions happen. By the way, we have no idea. I don't think it'll go this route, but when Jose Altuve comes up for the Hall of Fame someday, if that's going to be a thing. I mean, it wasn't steroids. It wasn't gambling, but I would say it's probably the third tier. Here's the thing. You can't differentiate, as funny as what Jay said, and accurate as what Jay said. You can't differentiate. You got a phone in your back pocket and somebody's looking at the pitcher and you could set that thing on vibrate.
Absolutely.
And your cheek is vibrating for a fastball or a curveball. There's all kinds of different things that you can do. And yes, you can send a text. All you got to do is put, a number in there or a letter, just anything random. You can send a text in time from picking up the sign to when the guy's going to swing the bat. Now, I'm sure that's not what happened. I'm positive that's not what happened. But there's got to be some sort of listen, you can't do this. This is not, you can't forget. This is like coming out. It'd be like if somebody came out from the dugout, okay, to take their warm-ups. And, oh, my God, my junk's hanging out of my zipper in front of 50,000 people. I'm serious. It's one of those things where nobody's going to do that on purpose, but it doesn't matter. It happened, and it was not great, and there has to be a message sent, unfortunately, to this poor kid that probably didn't mean it. I'm sure didn't mean it at all.
And these things we sometimes have to be careful. Is this the boomer, get off my lawn? I don't think it is, but because, I mean, just generally in the sport, it just isn't done. I mean, I know you've seen people like at halftime of NFL or NBA games that have tweeted or done an Instagram something really fast, but this is in live action,
right?
And just to prevent the the opportunities that could be there for cheating.
I can't wait until somebody injures their face because they left their VR helmet on going into second or whatever the heck's going on. You cannot have technology anywhere in the dugout or on the field. It just can't happen. We'll take a break. Hey,
as they get robot umpires.
Exactly. Exactly. Big celebration for the Giants this weekend, but they will be missing some key pieces. And I think we're going to have some fun here as to which one the crowd will miss the most. We'll get to that next.
You want more Kings coverage? Sactown Sports 1140 is giving it to you.
I like the Monk deal a lot.
It's the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross on Sactown Sports 1140.
Big celebration this weekend for the Giants. Second time in under a month. You had the Will Clark retirement ceremony finally.
Which was great.
Which was awesome. It was so great. I had a buddy over last night. We put YouTube on the YouTube clips on the TV, and we were going through slow-mos of Will Clark and Ken Griffey Jr.'s swings, arguing over who had a better swing, which is, if I'm being honest, it's an impossible argument. It's like arguing as to, I don't know, which hamburger you like the most.
Is that a new thing?
Huh.
Is YouTube clips the new disco light when you have when you're hosting someone?
It's the new what?
The new disco light, like how people would host back
Just
in
throw it on.
Yeah. Dude,
Instead of background music, background YouTube clips.
Bro, check out these Clark YouTube clips.
Hey, listen, when I host our weekly Spades game with our friends, a lot of times, we'll put music on, but I don't put music on. I'll put like whatever genre it is, which really ends up being like 90s rap music. That's probably the most common. We put a playlist of videos on, and then it just plays the music. We don't. Yeah, it's just something to put on.
Highlights of the show.
Yes, I put on our weekly highlights.
Welcome to Club Day, exclusive guest list.
Got a little disco ball exactly going.
By the way, really fast on the Will Clark.
Yes.
I didn't see it when it happened live. Saw it later. As a Will Clark fan, was it the perfect combination of? It was certainly got the lump in the throat.
Yeah.
But him, the way he did, it was so him. There was like an intensity and an edge.
Yes.
To a celebration about him. I don't know. It was not edge. I don't even know how. Like he was aggressive in his waving to the crowd or pointing to people, and it's just like. That's who he is. It was so him. I don't know any other way to explain it.
I think you said it the best. I think it's intensity. He is so intense.
It's like, I love the heck out of you, man. I'm like, okay, how about I love you? I don't know.
I love you too.
That's him. Yeah. Like aggressive hugs, aggressive points, knowledge to the crowd. But there was nothing wrong with it. It was just classic Will Clark.
Classic Will Clark.
I am Will the Thorough Clark. I am part of San Francisco. And I am forever a Giant.
And then the fist bump.
Exactly. And like the mouth pursed in, tucked in. Like this man.
Yes.
It was him. It was him.
The only thing I wished, if I could change or add anything to the retirement ceremony, the only thing I wished is like right before he said that, he just kind of bowed his head and you'd be like, what are you doing? And then he looks up and he's got the eye black on.
Oh, man, I'm just ready for him to have one of those tearaway suits and he had the jersey on underneath.
He was intense, dude. Yep. He was a leader. He was intense.
Great.
Speaking of old Giants, they caught Larry Bear, the owner of the Giants, in the stands, and then right behind him was a great call. There was Kevin Mitchell. He was at the Padres-Giants game last night. He was wearing a Giants hat, but it was a black Giants hat with a black Giants logo. So you had to look close to see, but this just did. I still would not mess with Kevin Mitchell.
No.
At all.
No.
A's legend Kevin Mitchell.
I had a part of the Pacific Stock Exchange, if you will. Had that poster.
Wait, do you guys remember his stint with the A's?
Yeah, I tried to.
When you said that, I was like, wait,
wasn't it like real? 5 minutes?
It was in the late 90s, maybe. Yeah, but I remember watching. I went to an A's game and he was playing in.
Really?
Kevin had put on a little weight.
Yes.
He got a little big.
Yeah, Kevin definitely grew.
Google Kevin Mitchell Oakland A's. You'll see what I mean.
I seem to remember, Jason, you might too. I remember Kevin Mitchell as a young third baseman for the Mets.
Absolutely.
Which was, when you think about it, as he got older and playing third base.
Yeah.
Again, Kevin developed as he had his career. And he will not be, I wouldn't think, attending this weekend, but the Giants will be celebrating the 10-year anniversary, golly, of the 2012 World Series team.
Yeah, they couldn't do 2010, obviously, that weird COVID year that was going on, the shortened season. So they're doing that big weekend ahead, but there's some omissions, Dave.
Well, Bruce Bochy, Matt Cain, Ryan Vogelsong, Angel Pagan, Dave Righetti, Barry Zito, amongst others, but missing Buster Posey. That's it. Maybe he was like, I'm doing one. You want me for Will Clark? Or you want me for? I'm only doing one.
I think I did read where, not only is they've moved to Georgia, school starting.
Yeah.
He did come out for the other one. He's already planning to be out there for the celebration of the 2024 year of the 14 team,
which is perfect, which is fine. Pablo Sandoval, Sergio Romo, they certainly have other commitments, as does Madison Bumgarner, and Tim Lincecum will be missing. I love the question posed here. would the crowd go most crazy for Tim Lincecum? I've been thinking about that since I read.
Yes.
Because here's the thing.
They haven't seen him.
They haven't seen him.
They pop for him. They go crazy.
They will absolutely pop for him.
I thought he was just at one of their recent celebrations.
Was he? I don't remember. I haven't seen him in a while unless I'm missing. You might be.
Let me look it up, but
usually you're right
sure
about this stuff.
Was.
But
he's grown too. He's now 6'4".
Yeah. Yeah. And the hairs, he's got what if he had like a big braid? Just a giant braid. Here's the thing. I think they would pop for Tim Lincecum. There's no doubt about it. But man, I think Madison Bumgarner still gets the biggest ovation.
Really?
I do.
He was at Bochy's.
He was at Bochy's thing. Okay.
Okay. We know the importance, obviously, of him. Buster would get a ton of love. And then you get guys that are still playing, Crawford and Belt.
Right.
But I think it's kind of what's not there sometimes. And I feel like Kane's been around.
Yeah.
Certainly Bochy is love. Rigetti will get some good love.
Sure.
Pagan.
Zito will.
Yeah. Zito, which is, yeah.
Right.
But I think, man, I feel like Lincecum would.
Honestly, I can't say for sure. I know that those would be the two biggest pops, Bumgarner and Lincecum. You might be right about Lincecum. I would love to see it. And then there's guys that there's something about Giants fans that really love the little guy. So at some point when Travis Ishikawa shows up, guys like that, Brian Wilson at some point is also going to.
He was at Bochy's as well. Yeah, I just looked it up.
People love Brian Wilson still, even though he went to the Dodgers.
I think he was a Dodger in 2012. Or was he on the 2012 team? I know he wasn't on the 14 team.
I believe he was on the 2012 team. I do. And then he went to the stinking Dodgers.
I'll get the research team to look it up.
You know what as you're saying that, and guys, Mitchell on the A's or, guys going on. Was Lincecum only a Giant? I don't remember him on another team.
No, he was an Angel and a Ranger for like a game.
Yeah, he
a Ranger?
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Again, like when I mean like a game, it wasn't much more than that. But you don't remember with the Angels?
I
don't.
He played for I don't remember him with the Rangers. I know he played for the Angels in his final year. He was 2-6 with a 3.74 ERA. Excuse me, I apologize. He was 2-6 with a 9.16 ERA. Shout out Sacramento. That was coming off a 4.13 ERA in his final year with the Giants. But in his 24, 25th, and 26th seasons, his second, third, and fourth year in the majors, Tim Lincecum is such a unique player.
Mm-hmm.
His second year in the league, he goes 18-5. 2.62 ERA, leads the league with 265 strikeouts, and wins the Cy. The following year, he goes 15-7 with a 2.48 ERA, 261 strikeouts, again, leads the league. He did it 3 years in a row. And he wins the Cy again. I mean, you've got a guy who won a Cy Young 2 years in a row. You have a guy who, Tim Lincecum is going to be one of the more fascinating Hall of Fame players as to whether or not is he going to just get in and whatever, is it going to be a Tim Raines thing? When you have a guy who won 2 Cy Youngs, and not only that, but 2 Cy Youngs in a row, when you have a guy that won 3 world championships, it's incredible. That alone is all the parts of the resume that a lot of guys don't have. They've got the wins or the home runs or the this or the that, but they don't have the titles. They don't have the MVPs or the Cys. Tim Lincecum has the Cy Youngs. Tim Lincecum has the MVPs, or excuse me, the World Series championships. But Tim Lincecum also has 110 wins lifetime.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, he's got the 4 All-Star appearances too. I think he's in that. Some people say you have to be the best at your position in your time frame. Well, there was about a 3 to 4 year window where he was.
Yeah.
But it's the longevity, and I hate to say this in this way, but it's almost like if he had just retired early.
Yeah.
I mean, well, he basically did, but I think it was because of performance. Whereas if he had just maybe stopped after, before like maybe the last 3 seasons,
right?
And you go, man, what could have been? He was a Hall of Fame. He was on tracking Hall of Famer. Now you look at the end of the career and you kind of go, well, was the 3 years an outlier, or was the rest of the career an outlier? That's where it's really tough with him.
We'll take a break. When we come back, you can officially get excited for football. Hard Knocks is back, and also I'll tell you why I think the Angels 100% will not have Shohei Ohtani in 2 years. We'll get into that after this.
You asked for more 49ers coverage, and Sactown Sports 1140 listen.
Let's go, Niner gang.
Get all the latest 49ers news and notes online at SactownSports.com. Plus, make sure to follow us on IG at Sactown1140 for Emil Fergoso's live post-game show following every game.
That is what we expect out of the Niner gang. Niners win!
Your home for the most 49ers coverage in Sacramento. Sactown Sports 1140.
Now, local businesses can get closer to every customer in their city with fast, affordable shipping.
talked about this last week with the trade deadline coming up. There was an outside chance that Shohei Ohtani could be a surprise trade because, in part, and this is Ken Rosenthal reporting for The Athletic, the Angels had informal discussions regarding an extension late in spring training with Ohtani's agents. Club officials expressed an understanding that in order to sign Ohtani, they would need to award him a record average salary surpassing Max Scherzer's $43.3 million, which, by the way, makes sense. You're getting 2 players for one. You're getting 2 all-stars
for
one. And his value was absolutely at its peak. The Angels, though, have Mike Trout, who is 30, averaging $35.5 million through 2030. Anthony Rendon, who's 32, $38 million annually through 2026. If Ohtani, let's say, pulled a $45 million yearly contract, that's $120 million to 3 players for the next 4 years. Artie Moreno has been known to spend, but he's shown some reluctance to go that much further, not to mention the fact that the Angels have had issues in the past with signing big, fat, long-term contracts. When you look at the rest of the facts there, and here's another note, by the way. Forbes estimated last July that he earns the most of any major leaguer in yearly endorsements. Now, Jay and Jason, I'll ask you again. Yeah, it is very interesting. Guys, what do you think he earns annually in endorsements? Please keep in mind, he is the #1 endorsed athlete in Major League Baseball.
Go ahead, Jason.
$50 million.
50.
I'll go 40.
40. Good guesses. I would have said somewhere probably around 45. So you're right in the neighborhood. He is the most endorsed athlete in baseball at $6 million annually.
Okay, my second question is, how much of that $6 million is endorsements in Japan?
In Japan, I would bet you it's probably 75%. That's exactly right. That just underlines how crappily baseball markets their superstars as opposed to the NBA or even the NFL. Now, please keep in mind, and this is Jason Stark doing the work of The Athletic here, Ohtani last year had a better OPS than Aaron Judge. He had a better ERA than Garrett Cole. He hasn't been as dominant this season, but his OPS is still 30% above league average. His ERA is 8% above. We're talking about an immensely popular guy. His jersey was top 10 last year. Mike Trout did not crack the top 10. So you've got a massive, massive, massive deal in the future for Shohei Ohtani. You've got an owner that is already committed to 2 guys for a ton of money. And you have Shohei Ohtani, who said, and I'll give you the quote here after his final start last year, I really like this team. I love the fans. I love the atmosphere of the team. But more than that, I want to win. That is the biggest thing for me. So I'll leave it at that. And Jason, just a quick check.
Yeah.
The Angels are 48-63.
After last night's win with him, the major responsible part of that, 6 shutout innings and a home run.
Correct. So
he gone.
I think so. And I think he's going to be the biggest free agent in the history of Major League Baseball. At 28 years old, 29 years old, he's going to be the biggest free agent in the history of baseball because you are effectively, now, whether or not he is able to continue that for 3, 4, 5 years, I don't know, but you're effectively getting 2, let's just call it, average it out, 2 borderline all-star players and a pitcher and also a hitter.
Yeah, now that they figured out, too, just kind of the rhythm of it. I mean, he pitches, he hits in the same game. The DH has helped him with that.
Yep.
And not that he couldn't have done both, but it just there used to be where maybe he'd sit the game before he started or sat the game after he started as a pitcher. He's playing almost all the time now.
Big Red on the YouTube chat says, is it baseball's fault or the agents who represent the players? It's baseball's fault. It's baseball's fault. Agents, you can't tell me a guy like Scott Boras and many others don't have the connections and aren't working their tails off. And by the way, a lot of times athletes, this isn't widely known, athletes will have different agents. You'll have an agent that negotiates your contract and maybe an endorsement here and there, but you also have, for lack of a better term, managers that go out and they negotiate your endorsements and they get a piece of that as well, much like an agent does. But if there's no market, there's no market.
Right. But also, let's remember, baseball's had some of the largest contracts signed ever in the last 5-10 years. I mean, it seems like there's a problem with star power, but yet the biggest names in the sport are getting the biggest contracts in all the sports.
Can you think of why 162 games a year? Baseball has most of the sports world to itself. You said it. These guys are getting tons of money, as much, if not more, than in other leagues. The obviously people watch, people attend, people. By the way, I mean, not for nothing, but baseball jerseys are a very easy wear. NBA is probably the toughest, but to go out, football and baseball jerseys are extremely easy to put on. I mean, and you're talking about, not that the other sports don't have it, but you're talking about a lot of really charismatic guys here. You know, the good-looking, charismatic athletes in all the sports. There's nothing holding it back. So I'm sitting here wondering why, other than baseball and the powers that be, these guys aren't marketed better.
Yeah, I mean, Shohei should be on the level of LeBron,
Yes.
of, like some of the the sports figures that are that big, or Trout or whoever. But I just don't feel like baseball has that cachet at the moment.
They don't. And I also think, and we'll move on here, I also think it's a little bit of, if I had to nitpick, I would say, I think your big advertising agencies, I think somebody out there is going to grab a baseball star at some point, and they're going to, you also have to build a really cool, you have to build an endorsement commercial, like Tom Glavine, Chicks Dig the Long Ball, for however you wouldn't do that today. That was a heck of a thing.
Right.
People were into that.
That's I think of all baseball commercials in the 90s, that's the easiest one to reference.
It is. And that's the key. You've got these signature football and basketball commercials out there. And let's be honest too. One thing that, for example, basketball has, and I honestly think if it wasn't for this, it would probably lag behind the NFL and be right there with baseball. Basketball has one thing when it comes to that the other sports really don't have. Can you think of what it is? Now, an advantage that basketball, a major built-in advantage basketball players have when it comes to endorsement revenue that basically does not exist in the NFL.
I mean, I know
and in baseball. Go ahead.
Shoes.
It's the shoes. It's the shoes, because the other sports are wearing cleats. It's this, not that there aren't Nike and different endorsements in the other sports, but sneakers are an entire multi-billion-dollar industry on their own, and that just doesn't happen in baseball or football, really. So, speaking of football, I've told you all year, one of my hurdles when it comes to getting excited for football came back last night. It's sitting on my DVR waiting to be watched tonight in a non-hectic environment, unlike last night at my house, with today being the first day of school. Hard Knocks, episode 1, Detroit Lions. It's just the music, dude.
Yeah. Well, I assume, I didn't see it last night. I assume it's still Liv Schreiber. Yeah.
Yep.
Just hearing him. And I've seen some of the clips that were posted, rookies singing in front of the or dancing in front of the rest of the group. But to me, it's going to be, how's Dan Campbell? Like that. What does he say? What are the quotes that are going to come out from him?
How entertaining is Dan Campbell going to be? And then also you have to wonder, how aware is Dan Campbell that he needs to be entertaining? And then, you've got the theme. And then I say it every year because it always, and obviously we're radio guys, so it's a little different for us when we think about things a little nerdier, or I do at least, that I don't know that there's anyone that sounds more different when they're normally talking and when they're voiceovering than Liev Schreiber. Every year I do it. Every year I go back and I'll pull up a Ray Donovan clip or something that he did, something he did in Wolverine or whatever. I'll pull up a clip of Liev Schreiber talking, and I cannot fathom how he is able to change his voice to Hard Knocks. I would never guess that was him if I didn't know. He does a wonderful job at that and a few other things as well. And USA Today did a list of top moments in Hard Knocks history. Got them right in front of me. Thank you. And I don't know if I'm reading these in order or they're just
no. It's just a sampling of some of them.
So the 2019, the quirkiness of Antonio Brown. Yes,
that was must watch. Yes. With his feet to getting in the hot air balloon to just all sorts of things with him. It just every episode with him was just It was kind of, I don't want to watch, but I want to watch.
It was cringy and almost must watch. You described it perfectly. Jeff Fisher's I remember this.
We are not going to be 7-9.
They were
an 8-18.
Yeah, right. They ended up being 7-9. The Texans 2015. I forgot about this. Big Vince Wilfork shows up in overalls.
Just the overalls.
Just the
big fella.
He was an absolute character. Then you have 2010, the Jets, and this is probably the most memorable line in the history.
Yeah.
Rex Ryan, his big rant, and then ending it with "Let's go eat a GD snack." and I mean, we must have played that clip a billion times.
Mm-hmm.
Sports radio did everywhere. Special shout out. I know this does. I'm sure I could pick a moment if I went back. I don't know. Maybe it's just nostalgia, Jason. Jay. I don't know that anything has ever topped that inaugural season with the Ravens when they went on to win the title. I with Tony Baselli and Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, John Harbaugh.
A lot of characters on that team.
There were a lot of Goose. Did I say Tony Baselli? Sorry. Just so many characters on that team, dude. Plus, it was new.
It was new. We had never really quite seen that. The real time nature of it is really appealing to me.
Knock if you agree with me, John Gruden. Thank you, Big Red. That's another one too. I don't know if that was a top moment. That was kind of a goofy moment. Champions are retiring. The mark of the return to football, as we just talked about. And hey, who's the best bet, fantasy players, when it comes to the Niners receiving core? This is a real question happening. 3 for Madness next.
Breaking news, the latest happenings with your favorite teams.
Do you ever wonder about what the heck all these kids are doing on the computers all the time?
Stay up to date with all of it by following us on Instagram and Twitter.
Excuse me, gentlemen, a little update for you.
At Sactown 1140.
Hi guys, it's Andrew. Are you struggling with ED and sick of the pills? Well, today, Wednesday, August 10th, we're running a one-day end of summer special you won't want to miss out on. Coastside Clinic uses the most powerful form of wave therapy. This is a technology clinically shown to repair blood vessels and improve blood flow. We can now effectively treat your ED without any pills. If you're ready to transform your love life, grab your phone. Today is your day. Call us now and you'll qualify for the assessment and ultrasound totally free. Also, a gift that can produce powerful results to intimacy in minutes. You're going to love that, guys. And today only, we're offering 5 tune-up treatments to our patients free. This is our most lucrative offer ever, worth $1,000. But call today, Wednesday, and qualify totally free. 916-603-2000. That's 916-603-2000. Guys, put a stop to your ED and get your love life back. Call Coastside Clinic now to qualify. This offer ends today. 916-603-2000.
3 questions, 3 answers. It's 3 for Madness on the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross. Question 1.
All right, coming up in the next segment, Roger Goodell finally breaks his silence when it comes to Deshaun Watson, why they are appealing the ruling 6-game suspension. Sounds like also the NFL owners are a little unhappy with the Cleveland Browns ownership for the way they structured Deshaun's new contract so that he's only making $1 million this year, anticipating a suspension. So we'll have audio on that in a little bit. In the meantime, it is 3 for Madness, and it is Jay Mars.
How dare they use their own collective bargaining agreement against them?
Shocking.
Hey, stepping away from tennis for Serena Williams removes one of the greatest athletes of all time from the sports spectrum. Which big-time athlete's retirement will leave the next biggest mark on their game?
I think 2 of these are incredibly simple. Maybe I'm overthinking it or underthinking it, but I struggled with the rest. So in football, have to be Tom Brady, right?
Mm-hmm.
We already got a tease of that, but yeah, because we thought he was retiring, and there was a lot of fanfare for that.
In basketball, with apologies to Steph Curry, I would say it's LeBron.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Who is it in baseball? No, it should be, but it's not. Scherzer?
No.
Of course not. That's what I'm saying. Who? There isn't one. Like, there legitimately isn't.
Bryce Harper?
No. I mean,
he's on a Gatorade commercial.
I think the most recent one that I would say had an impact would be Jeter, but that's now years removed.
I agree.
Played for, the captain of the Yankees all those years, and they won 4 titles. There isn't anybody else like that right now.
I completely agree.
There might be great players, and players maybe even better than Jeter. It's just who has that connection to their area and really the nation.
Juan Soto.
I mean, I'll tell you this much. I think Juan Soto might be, other than Shohei Ohtani to me, is him and O'Neal Cruz are my two players I'll watch the most.
Sub question. Do you think in 5 years we're saying Ohtani is the guy that leaves the biggest mark on baseball when he retires?
Maybe. I certainly, it would be a bad bet, but it's just so sad. And then, what was
Tiger?
It? Yeah, Tiger in golf.
For sure.
But you don't really retire in golf. You just kind of move into the championship.
Is there anyone in combat sports right now?
I was thinking about that too. And honestly, Amanda Nunez, not really. Chris Cyborg, not really. I was going with the
John Jones. I felt like was the guy. Yeah. Conor McGregor, kind of the same thing.
McGregor has enough of an attention.
It's probably McGregor.
Is there a boxer with Tyson Fury?
Tyson Fury's coming back.
Triple
now.
G.
Maybe, but
Canelo.
Yeah.
Mayweather,
right?
Hasn't he retired 10 times?
And then honestly, in
Logan Paul actually might be the answer.
And in tennis,
or Jake, whichever Paul.
Split the difference between Federer, who I think it would be, but he's already almost there. Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal.
Yeah,
it's but it's just so sad that baseball doesn't really have one.
Soccer, is there anyone?
Maybe Ronaldo, Messi. It's got to be one of those two. Number 2.
Question 2.
Oh, there we are.
We're in 3 for madness.
I know. I'm just looking for the question.
7-13.
Shut up. What is the best part of the Hard Knocks series?
So I could, like I said in the last segment, I could say it's Liev Schreiber and the theme, which just gives you the feeling, but that's not what you're asking. I think if I had to break it down, the best part of the series, it's the way they underline that for every Aaron Rodgers, Deebo Samuel, Tom Brady, names there's like 150 Jacob Jakertons that they're lifer. They're trying to make it. They played in college. They've got a new family maybe, and they focus in every Hard Knocks on a handful of these guys. Who is the UC Davis guy for the Raiders? They did a couple. Keelan Doss. So it's a great example, and they're just trying to make the team. They're trying to make the right play in front of the coaches at the right time. And as the series goes on, if they do it right, you live and die with, oh my God, he made that play in front of the coaches. They got to get him to. Oh man, he allowed that. The cornerback allowed that reception for a touchdown, and then he goes home and you see the misery. That's the part that I really like, because it highlights the part of the game that you don't really notice.
Yeah, for me, I think it's in that. It's the storytelling, it's the behind the scenes access we get, because that's stuff that we normally don't get, whether that's, coaches talking about players, the unfortunate, cutting of players, but that's real. I mean, to really have a slice of that. And then I also appreciate, Dave, we kind of mentioned it earlier, the real-time nature of that storytelling. So if there's a scandal, or, if this was done on the Browns, let's say,
right,
this year, and then the Deshaun Watson stuff is happening, how they cover it, or the Antonio Brown stuff is happening with the Raiders that year, and then we get it, it's just a few days later, and you're getting a little sliver of it in kind of how they're all living it in real time. So, I really appreciate how they turn that stuff around so quickly.
And honestly, you're right. Pretty much every year they have something like that. The most random one I remember is, I don't remember, it was a few years back, but it was when Ryan Tannehill held out a camp for the Dolphins, and it dominated their camp. And then he finally, towards the end, got the contract, showed up, and
We kind of talked about this. So another sub question here. Has Hard Knocks kind of lost its luster though?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It has. It's not
because
what it was.
It's been done, but it's still really good. It's just been done before.
I think
by them.
I think you put Hard Knocks in with. I like it more than this, but it's like the Hall of Fame game. Like it's not going to blow you away. It's not the greatest thing ever, but it's now to me part of the tradition of building to the football season right there. Number 3.
Question 3.
All right, most important question we're going to ask all day. Most receiving yards for the 49ers this season. Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, or our good friend, Other.
Oh, Juszczyk.
Oh, yeah. I mean, shouts to Kyle Juszczyk. I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to do something I hate doing, and it's going to burn me. So sorry, Niner fans. It'll probably burn you too. I'm going to succumb.
Ew.
I'm going to succumb to the hype. I'm going to succumb to the hype. I'm going to succumb to the hype and the fact that when you look at the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo was like 27th in the league last year when it came to average yards thrown downfield. And if you extrapolated Trey Lance's few attempts and how many times he went 20-plus yards down the field, I think he would have been 6th or 5th or something like that. The weapon that Debo is, the dump off that George Kittle is, I think this is Brandon Ayuk's year. I'm succumbing to the hype.
It's on fire, baby.
I think Ayuk's going to be 1,000+ yard receiver this year. Debo will have like 800-900 yards with like 12 touchdowns and 400 rushing yards.
And then there will be the storyline. Oh, Debo got paid and didn't care.
Right. So I am succumbing to the hype. I'm going to say Brandon Ayuk.
Okay. I'm looking at last year, which all three had a good year. Ayuk ended with 826, Kittle with 910, but Debo was 1406 yards after catch. He's such a good weapon. I'm going to stick with him. The catches, I think the catches will all be really, really close. And that big play threat might still be on the deep throws, might be Ayuk, but I just think you can get Debo a 5-yard slant and he goes 70. So I'm going to go in total yards. I'm going to stick with Debo.
I'm going to go Ayuk as well, just because I think, especially early on, while everyone is healthy, defenses are going to be scheming against Kittle and Debo, and that's going to give Ayuk plenty of opportunities. Now, can Trey Lance find him is the next question.
Well, that's what I'm hoping, is that between Kittle and Samuel and Juwan Johnson and Ray McLeod, and we won't all be on the field at the same time, but Ayuk's going to be the guy. If you want somebody to beat you, I think a lot of defenses are going to say, let Brandon Ayuk. He's not going to have the yards out. He's not going to have the yak that Debo does. But let me just say this. Ayuk played in 17 games last year. Do you guys remember at the start of the year how he basically was on the field for like 5 plays a game?
Yeah.
He was in the doghouse. He was horrific at the beginning of last year. Guys, he ended up with 826 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
None of us, by the way, picked Kittle. Shade at Kittle.
If George Kittle ends up with the most yards, I think they might be in trouble. If he ends up with more yards than Samuel or Ayuk, by the way,
again, last year he was second of the group at 910, and he played in 14 games.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
give him 3 more games.
Needless to say, Ayuk last year, starting out first game against the Eagles, 6 yards, then 37 against the Pack, 15, 32, 6, 45, and then broke out, I guess you could say, against Arizona with 6 catches, 89 yards, and a touchdown. And then just really, with the exception of a couple of outliers there, just completely broke out the rest of the year. So it will be very, very interesting. All right, we will take a break. When we come back, the NFL. Why are they appealing the Deshaun Watson case? Well, we know, but the commissioner's going to explain. In the meantime, I'd like to welcome in my good buddy, as we do every once in a while, my good buddy Shelby from United Wholesale Lending. Shelby at refinanceWithShelby.com. Good morning. How are you, my friend?
Good morning. I'm doing good.
All right. So you hear all this stuff. Is the economy, maybe the economy is improving a little bit, or is it getting worse? Is inflation getting better? Is it getting worse? These bills are passing, this and that, whatever. Last time you and I talked, we focused on a number of things, including shop your loan. Call you guys. Make sure you're getting the right deal. Make sure you're not wasting all this money monthly and yearly through the life of your loan, not by simply not just going to refinanceWithShelby.com or calling you guys. What are we focusing on this week?
Well, right now we see a huge break in interest rates, finally. So if you purchased in the last 6 months, right now is the opportunity that you were waiting for to be able to call back, refinance. You can get an APR in the 4s right now, which is something we haven't seen in quite a while. Or if you're looking to take cash out and sitting on the sidelines, right now it's a great time because we finally got that interest rate break.
How does it work? I'm putting you on the spot here, but you'll know this obviously, like the back of your hand. How does it work? I call in. I want to refi. I want some cash out or whatever. And with rates floating around so much, how do you do you lock down immediately? Do you let it float? How do you usually handle that and advise your borrowers?
So we have analysts that are actually analyzing the market, and they're giving us key indicators on when to lock. So at that point, you'll call in. We'll look at all of the analytics and say, okay, right now, our advice is to float your interest rate, and then we wait for key indicators in order to lock, and then we lock you in. So It's
a
one of those
science.
things. You leave it up to the experts, and we guide you in the right direction. Lock in when the time is right. And the best part about shopping your interest rate is a lot of lenders out there that use a scare tactic, and they say, "Don't shop around. Don't get your credit ran by anyone else." That's just a scare tactic. They don't want you to shop around. So in order to shop around, just take their loan estimate. You already know what your credit score is. Call us, say, "My credit score is this. Here's the loan estimate of what they were promising." And then I say, "Okay, here's how much money I could save you." Super simple. It takes 5 minutes for a quote.
Because, and as you said, these lenders are so scared because probably deep down they know they're screwing you. So they say, "Don't shop it. It's gonna screw your credit up. You might not even get this rate because it's gonna drop your credit score." And to your point, they know if you know what your credit score is, which you would at that point, you know how much money you make per year. You know what you owe on your house. You, Shelby, are going to be able to do estimates on what the home is worth. That's pretty much, unless I'm forgetting something, all the things that you would need to plug in and give them an answer in 2 minutes as to what you can do for them specifically. And in most cases, in so many cases you hear about this, you're saving them a lot of money, not just monthly, but over the life of the loan for a 5-minute phone call.
Exactly.
That simple. RefinanceWithShelby.com. That's RefinanceWithShelby.com. They're local. They're trusted. I did my refi with them. It was the best loan I've ever done in my life. Figure it out. RefinanceWithShelby.com. NMLS number 279051. BRA number 01864354. Roger Goodell is next.
The start of the NFL season is upon us, and Sactown Sports 1140 has all your coverage. Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, and of course, all the NFL action every Sunday. Your home for the NFL all season long. Sactown Sports 1140.
There was always a crowd gathered around our dining table when I was growing up. Hi, I'm Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. Everyone was welcome at my mother's table, so holidays, birthdays, and celebrations always included family and friends. I used to think I was the most popular kid in the neighborhood until I realized that my friends were really there for my mother's incredible cooking. Years later, when I bought my own dining table from Naturewood, I made sure it was large enough to make friends feel welcome. And right now, during Naturewood Home Furnishings' Dine in Style sale, you have an opportunity to find the perfect dining room furniture to help you create your own treasured memories. Choose from casual to formal or anything in between. Visit Naturewood Home Furnishings during the Dine in Style sale off Highway 50 at Hazel. Look for the water wheel.
The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross. Text or call the show at 916-339-1140 on Sactown Sports 1140.
Thanks, Shelby, for joining us there. Save you some money. Yeah, so the NFL didn't like they went to all this trouble getting a third party, a judge, doing all the things they needed to do or felt they needed to do on the Deshaun Watson.
Until they didn't like the result.
They didn't like the result. They went, okay, well, we're appealing the whole situation we set up.
Right.
And Roger Goodell is the judge, jury, and executioner here, even though he's got more third parties now involved. The NFL did not like the result, so they're trying to change it, which is going to be a very interesting situation when this does come down, Jason. I gotta think Deshaun Watson's camp's going to have a heck of an appeal of this appeal if they come down to 10, 17 games, whatever it is. It's going to be very interesting to see Deshaun Watson's camp appealing this and saying, hold on, the NFL set this up. They had a third party. They did a thorough investigation over months.
Right.
This is what they decided. And what right do you have to it? This is completely unfair. And I think Watson's going to have a case.
Sure. What's the, in a real court, double jeopardy?
Double jeopardy.
This feels like that in a sense where, okay, it was looked at. And I think what the NFL is stating is based on what the judge's findings were and what she confirmed, they feel, though, that the suspension should have been larger. It's like, okay, but that's not, again, let's put it into the real court situation where it's person X gets, 5 years in prison.
Right.
Well, you may be upset about it, but that's what was determined. So should it have been more? Should it have been less? obviously, court of public opinion thought more. But is that why the NFL is doing this, or is the NFL really doing this under their own merit?
Well, this is a win-win for the NFL because option A, they do the appeal, they win, the suspension gets extended, and Deshaun Watson and his camp, whether they appeal it or not, they lose, suspension happens, and hey, there you go.
You think that's a win for the league?
I think it's a win for the league in the sense that if I'm saying in this scenario, they get a longer suspension and it's out there. So the NFL didn't like the initial suspension. They pushed to extend the suspension, and they get the extended suspension. So now the NFL is tough on sexual crimes and blah, 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 or at least that this is their boardroom.
Right.
If they don't get an extended suspension out of this appeal, or they do, and then it's overturned by Deshaun Watson's appeal. Well, we tried. We did everything we could. We can't control that. We did what we could. We tried to, obviously, we think it's too short of a suspension, but we have to honor the process. And either way, they get to say they tried to be tough on these types of issues.
Yeah, and then I don't know if they can set, and maybe each case has to be done differently, but like we said before, when the initial ruling came out, this was for this particular type of infraction.
Yeah.
Tied for the longest type of suspension. People want more. Well, you do need to set precedent somewhere or under a guideline say, if this happens, then this is the suspension. They just haven't done that yet.
Roger Goodell spoke about this yesterday, starting with why the NFL is seeking a 1-year suspension.
We've seen the evidence. She was very clear about the evidence. She reinforced the evidence that there was multiple violations here and they were egregious and it was predatory behavior. Those are things that we felt, we always felt were really important for us to address.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
He goes on and talks about the timeline.
Obviously, as you know, I'm not hearing that. So that's a decision that Peter Harvey will make and his time came.
Interesting that he's getting that specific. When going back to his earlier answer about what he, in fact, I want to re-wrap that here real quick, Jason, what he said. And I need to double click to do that.
We've seen the evidence. She was very clear about the evidence. She reinforced the evidence that there was multiple violations here and they were egregious and it was predatory behavior. Those are things that we felt, we always felt were really important for us to address.
Okay. So he felt like she laid out the evidence, he's saying, that it was not alleged, but was predatory behavior. And what's so interesting about this, and we've talked about this before, is that she felt like he did she had determined that he did these things that were wrong. However, she was handcuffed on her punishment she could dole out, in her opinion, based on precedence.
Exactly.
And so, in effect, Roger Goodell is appealing this punishment that was truncated based on the NFL's own guidelines and precedents. And you're now looking to establish a punishment for somebody. You don't like the punishment. And then it would be like, Jason, if you got, let's just take robbery. You got convicted of robbery and the judge gave you 5 years in prison. And then an attorney saying, well, hold on. Why did you only give him 5 years? And the judge says, well, because that's the max I can give him. The guy says, well, okay, we need to go back and change what the max is because that's not enough. And then retroactively, as much as I think Deshaun Watson should be suspended for at least a year, I think this whole thing's disgusting. This is not a defense of Deshaun Watson in any way, shape, or form. But I'm saying to you that that's not right to go back and retroactively. That the time for that would have been before the decision came down.
Yeah, and all of this was set up because I think people thought the NFL didn't get this right in the past, and I wish we could, go back in this sense, Dave, and almost start this case with the NFL.
Yeah.
I mean, what would the NFL have done? Their precedent was 6 games before.
Yes.
And now they think and partly to me, I think is, in a large part, is what Twitter and the talking head shows and sports talk, whatever, writers, everybody's writing about it thinking it was egregious. Well, the NFL was in charge of this before. Now they get an independent arbiter and it lands basically under the same parameters that they had set before.
Yeah, it's not. And by the way, I got a lot of people talking about double jeopardy. I'm not a lawyer, but I remember correctly, isn't double jeopardy only apply to like murder and stuff like that?
I don't know if it's an only thing, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, and obviously if there's new evidence, new things that come up, I know that changes that a little bit too, but I'm sure we have a lawyer listening right now that can clarify that. A couple of things here, because I know we're coming up on a break here real quick. In fact, when are we breaking? Oh, we still got a couple of minutes. We're going to get into the Niners here in a little bit, but I want one more thing with Roger Goodell. He spoke on the Miami Dolphins punishment decision. And I need to double click that too.
The integrity of the game's critically important. I think the findings were very clear on the tampering charges. And, while tanking clearly did not happen here, I think we all have to understand that our words and our actions have implications, can be interpreted. We have to be careful.
Okay.
You know what I find interesting, and I'm not blaming Roger Goodell or Gary Bettman, Adam Silver, all the different commissioners here. The integrity of the game is an interesting phrase. I know what's meant by it.
Sure.
But, Dave, it sure seems like in all those sports, if you mess with an outcome, whether that's a referee, gambling, tanking, whatever it might be, point shaving, that seems to be the biggest transgression in the sport as far as integrity of the game. Yet, and again, now we're measuring and whether they're apples for apples, but what the allegations are on Deshaun Watson is also the integrity of the game. I mean, it's done differently. It's not affecting an outcome, but it's a figurehead of your sport. And it just is interesting that off the field court diamond problems, like real world issues that can impact lives, I guess you could argue so could gambling. I mean, but it just, it's really weird where that skews way more in Calvin Ridley's case.
Right.
Betting seemingly innocently enough, but he's done for you. It's a really weird scale there to me.
Well, now you're jumping into a part of the conversation that I think is far more fascinating and far more scary. And the bottom line is this: the NFL cares far, 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 far more about Calvin Ridley betting than sexual assault.
Right.
Sadly, it's a business. It's run like a business. Roger Goodell works for the owners, and his job is to make the money. So let's just look at the brass tacks. Okay, their job is to serve their customers. I'm talking about the owners. When Deshaun Watson does what he did, or a Ray Rice did what he did, how many fans is that losing? I mean, really, how many fans are you losing there? How many more people are leaving the sport or turning it off because of kneeling on a field than they are a sexual assault? It's just the nature of who football fans are as a demographic. When you're gambling, like Calvin Ridley did, I can tell you this much. Put Calvin Ridley 10 years ago, and you probably have far less of a punishment, because now you have the NFL and these other sports that are deeply in bed. They're snuggling, they're spooning with these gambling outfits. And when something like that happens, guess what? The gambling outfits go, hold on, the more this happens, the less people want to bet, the more they say it's rigged. Now, every single close call, bad call, this, that, whatever, for the next 5 years, they're going to say, well, was the guy betting on this? And we're losing millions of dollars, and you need to check your players here real quick. And there's a lot of money on the line. So the NFL, as always, it's going to defend the shield, and it's going to defend their pocketbooks. And quite honestly, and somebody proved me wrong, when it comes to the treatment of women, when it comes to whether it's assault, whether it's whatever Deshaun Watson you want to call that is, when it comes to that, it has nowhere near the effect on their money or their fans as something like gambling or kneeling has.
Yeah, it's just been the way almost every sport has been constructed that way.
That's the brass tacks. All right. The Trey Lance era begins. He is officially the guy in Santa Clara. We joked about the announcement yesterday. Now let's talk about expectations. We're right back.
Sactown Sports 1140 is your home of the Las Vegas Raiders for the 2022 NFL season. Tune your dial to 1140 for all Raiders games. Plus, you can listen online at SactownSports.com and on the Sactown Sports 1140 app.
got a barn burner with this artichoke versus crab poll. Boy, talk about you find controversy when you're not looking for it. Today's poll question: which food is the most work for the least reward, crab or artichokes? 51% say artichokes, 49 crab. That's as close as it gets. Well, it's almost as close as it gets. Crawfish was nominated. I've never been a crawfish guy. I don't know. They suck the heads. I can't do it.
Yeah.
That's gross. I'm sorry. I can't do it. And somebody nominated wings. I disagree. They are a lot of work.
Their work, yes. They are.
But they're kind of like, it's like fun work. Like I've cut myself on crab before. In fact, I've cut myself on artichokes before.
It's not just fun work. I think it's the most rewarding of all the food work.
Well,
a good wing.
I'm sorry, but when you take the tine of a fork and you do that perfect little rip down the crab leg and you pull out, I mean, dude, it's almost like a trophy. Everyone does it if they eat crab. When you pull out that leg chunk and it's like 6 inches long and you're holding it, you just drop it in butter. Come on, dude. That's a crab versus a wing.
Wing.
Really?
Wing.
Boneless.
Well, that takes out all the work.
By the way, the people that like my wife that they crack all their crab and put the crab in a pile and then eat it all.
Save it for later.
Yeah,
or not later, but you do all the work first and then enjoy the food.
Yeah, that's like pouring milk into the cereal, I think, first.
I agree. It's very much like that's very childlike. It's the equivalent to cutting up your child's food for them, and then there's a pile of cut up.
Really?
Food.
Isn't that getting your work done, and then you get the rewards?
I see the logic. I do. Sure. I understand the logic.
But it's the same logic of cutting your steak first into pieces and then eating it.
Thank you. Well done there. That is a perfect analogy. Also, a few people nominating, and I agree with this actually. The lowly pomegranate. That is so true. You open it up and here's a bunch of seeds, and then you eat the seeds, and you have to throw out all that white crap. And
wait a minute, I got to go back to Jay's comment. Is it bad to cut all of your steak?
Yes,
and then eat it.
And
that's
100%.
Because. We're not talking minutes, so it's not like freezing cold. Like
it's an etiquette thing.
No, I don't know if it's an etiquette thing.
It is.
Is it really?
100%.
How is it breaking etiquette by cutting your steak?
Again, dude, you're doing something. You're doing child's work.
I don't understand.
I would say this. I think the biggest negative to cutting your steak in advance is that you're cutting it and then exposing it, and then it's cooling down, and the juice. I mean, I would prefer not to because I'd rather keep it juicier.
Zeb.
What?
Gets too cold.
It's too cold.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're like not taking 20 minutes to do this.
Well, gosh, I mean, are you a speed cutter? Do you have a slicer?
Do you take your steak through the slicer first, Jason?
You're grating your steak with a cheese grater before you eat it.
Don't judge.
No judgment here. Trey Lance, though, let's judge that. Because that's what we do on sports radio. Trey Lance is the starter. Okay, let's just recap. The 49ers gave up a treasure trove of picks to move up, what was it, 9 spots? Was it 12-3, I think, in the draft, in order to draft this guy that played like 12 games or whatever in college at North Dakota State. And I mean, we talked about this earlier. This is a pretty massive risk when you look at the history of the NFL. He sat out a year. Well, excuse me. He sat behind Jimmy Garoppolo for pretty much a year. And now he is the quarterback, the most important position in sports, for a team that was a quarter away from the Super Bowl last year, that has been to the NFC Championship game at minimum twice in the last 3 years, that has skill position players out there, what, that has a defense, especially that line, that is amazing. And no pressure whatsoever, Trey. We just expect you to, at minimum, do what?
Can I give you quantifiable numbers here?
Yes, please.
And tell me what you think. Can expectations be this, Dave and Jay? 3,900 yards, 69% completion rate. Nice. 252 yards per game, 23 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. They're very specific numbers, and there's a reason behind that. But those numbers are the combo of what Jimmy G did in 2019 and 2021 when the team went to the Super Bowl and was one game away from the Super Bowl, which not earth-shattering. The best stats always for Jimmy G are the win-loss.
Okay.
And that's not counting any running. I mean, obviously,
No.
I think he'll run more and have impacts on getting first downs, keeping plays alive, running for some touchdowns. But those are fine. Those are good numbers. Nothing amazing.
Let me zoom out and rephrase it to you, because I understand and I like where you're going, and I like the comparison you just used. But I think the question needs to be rephrased from 50,000 feet. Do we care, and do Niner fans care, and should Trey Lance be graded more on what his numbers are or the win-loss record of the team? And just to go a little bit further, I'm saying if Trey Lance has 25 touchdowns, 18 picks, a 50%, if he's all over the place, but the Niners go back to the NFC Championship game versus Trey Lance has a Pat Mahomes Jr. type first full year, but the Niners are a 10-7 wild card team that's out in the second round. Well, which option are Niner fans going to appreciate Trey Lance for more? The team as a whole, or what his numbers were?
Well, and here's how I would answer that. I mean, in the end, it's about win-loss. That should be what everybody cares about. But with that being said, and maybe the Niners will frame it that way if that's how it goes. But Dave, I think they made that trade, those moves, the decision to move on from Jimmy G, because they think they have a special quarterback.
Yeah.
And those numbers don't sound special. Now, the win-loss could be, but you want to start getting him into that upper echelon top 10 where you go, we have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. We have one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. He is the reason we are 12-5. He is the reason we're hosting the first round, whatever it might be. I think that's where they want to get to. I don't know if that's happening this year, but I think you make that trade, you make that decision on Jimmy G because you think you have something special he needs to start doing. I mean, again, it doesn't have to be right away, but he has to start tracking that. In my opinion.
If Trey Lance threw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns and had 12 picks, let's say, and he rushed for another 200-300 yards with a couple of touchdowns, but the Niners were
missed the playoffs. You know who he would become? He's Herbert. Like, everybody loves Justin Herbert, and there's nothing wrong with him. And people, I think when you rank like the AFC West, I think some people would go in quarterbacks, Mahomes, probably Wilson, but if not, I feel like they're putting Herbert there, and he's been great, but they haven't been to the playoffs. So at some point, you can't just be that guy.
No. And you got Josh Allen in there and a few others, but your point's solid.
Right. So he's done it 2 years. And again, it's 2 years for Herbert. So he's been great. But at some point, you've got to lead a team to the playoffs. Burrow, I feel like, has elevated higher because he's had 2 good years too, but he's now taken a team to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So at some point, I think for Herbert or these other good young quarterbacks where you've got your guy, you got to start winning and winning more. And it's not like the Chargers have been bad, but that's, I think, where the Niners would ultimately be is, we got a guy giving us stats, but are we winning?
And I think if you put Justin Herbert's numbers and Joe Burrow's numbers side by side, I don't have it in front of me, but I'm guessing Herbert's going to beat him. But I think if you polled most people, which quarterback would you rather have for the next 10 years? They're probably taking Burrow.
It's a really good question. I don't know where they would go. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of hype around Herbert, justifiably, and Burrow too. Maybe it's just personal preference there.
Well, maybe we'll make that today's sub poll question. By the way, the numbers I threw out, which are just insane: 66% completion rate, 5,097 yards, 50 touchdowns, 12 picks, 113.8 rating. That was year 1 of being a starter for Patrick Mahomes in only 16 games.
Yeah, and I think that as much as it's unfair, Dave, to Lance to be compared to Mahomes, but I think the situation is the same. Alex Smith won. They were winning all the time in Kansas City, but I think they felt they would upgrade, and then obviously the results have shown that they did, and we would all agree that Mahomes is better than Alex Smith, though they won at a great clip. So I think the parallels are there. Now the next step is, can Trey Lance, again, he's not going to be Mahomes, but can he have a clear look where you go, he is better than Jimmy G.
1-800-920-1140. Our text line is 916-339-1140. Real quick, here's Kyle Shanahan updating us on Jimmy Garoppolo trade talks.
I believe that goes on with his agents, and but none that I hear of.
No offer that has been brought to you. Say, what do you think of this?
Heard of yet?
Okay. What about Jimmy's role on the team?
Has he even been issued an iPad? Does he watch film? Does he have the playbook?
No. I'm sure he does at home. I mean, we haven't given new playbooks out this year yet. I mean, he's not in meetings. He's not doing all that stuff. So he's just doing what I said he's been doing. But yeah, I think if he's on the depth charts, because you have to be.
Well,
wow.
I mean,
how do you feel, Jimmy?
Shout out to Jimmy Garoppolo for how he's handled this whole thing.
Yes.
I mean, truly, Jimmy Garoppolo, I wish him all the success in the world. I do agree with the move. I do agree that they've ceilinged themselves with Jimmy Garoppolo. And by the way, it's a pretty dang high ceiling. I hope if Jimmy Garoppolo went somewhere else and was amazing, I would kind of hate it as a Niner fan, but I hope he's successful. He's just a good dude.
Yeah, and also credit to the Niner. I mean, it's strong. It's what Shanahan's saying, but he's not mixing words. Like there's no mystery. Oh, maybe Jimmy will still be a part. Like it's basically no. They just haven't been able to, find a home for him yet.
We'll take a break. When we come back, short segment here, we'll talk about short break too. We will talk about Trey Lance and where do we look at him amongst the NFC West, the NFC overall, Jimmy Garoppolo options there. And we've got a few more NFL notes for you. We're right back after this.
You want more Kings coverage? Sactown Sports 1140's giving it to you.
You'll be watching and thinking, man, like, I guess Keegan, he's maybe not as good today. And then you look up and he's got, 12 and 8 and it's, the second quarter and he is just so calm, so efficient.
I think it's absolutely what Sacramento needs. I think there's this sense that something special is starting to fall into place.
Log on to SactownSports.com for exclusive content. SactownSports.com.
Now
and HD1 Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento. Sactown Sports 1140. It's the Carmichael Dave Show.
He's on the microphone. When he's not on the microphone, he's playing a song. And when he's not playing a song, he's on the microphone. And then boom.
With Jason Ross.
Jay, hey, my headset's
Text or call the show at 916-339-1140. It's the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross on Sactown Sports 1140.
Jason, you said the question asking whether or not someone will want Joe Burrow or what's his face? Why am I blanking? That's why I'm
Herbert.
Thank you, Justin Herbert. Kept thinking Josh Allen.
What's
his face? Herbert or Burrow? You said that's a tough question. I said, well, I think the majority would want Burrow over the next 10 years, considering he went to a Super Bowl.
I'm not sure.
Well, so far, Circle gets the square. Jason Ross, 55% say Justin Herbert. Now, this is very early. I just put this up 5 minutes ago. 109 votes in. 57% now say they would rather have Herbert than Burrow. That is a tough question, but I think most would agree. Here's the thing, and it's way too early for this, but we could be sitting in a situation that we've seen so many times. Who's a better quarterback, Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers? Who's a better quarterback, Joe Montana or Dan Marino or John? It's so difficult because some people rate their quarterbacks based on the rings, along with you got to be a pretty good quarterback. And then others can look at a Rodgers with one ring, a Marino with no rings, and so far an Herbert with no rings. And Justin Herbert, and again, way, way, way early, but he's lining up very well with that Rodgers and really Marino background of no rings, but you can't deny what an amazing thrower he is.
Well, yeah, and we're getting to that spot too. I think we're in a good position with some really talented quarterbacks after we're cycling through some of these guys. We had Manning go through, and now Brady at some point will be done. Believe it or not, Roethlisberger just finished like the next batch, and at some point there's going to be some really good quarterbacks that just don't win a Super Bowl. I mean, I don't know that Burrow and Herbert and Josh Allen, all these, Lamar Jackson they likely will not all win a Super Bowl. So it's going to be difficult.
Where do you rank? Let's just start with the NFC West. This is so impossible, but going into the season, where do you rank Trey Lance when it comes to the NFC West itself?
Generally, me personally, I'd like to see a resume because that's where you go off of, right? So you now have Stafford, who has a career numbers that are staggering, honestly, of he's going to end up really high up there, and now he's got a Super Bowl to back it up. So, I mean, I'd go Stafford. Kyler Murray is more of a resume than Trey Lance, so I'd put him second. Now, I know there's more of a resume in Drew Lock / Geno Smith in Seattle, but with that one said, just talent and the team around him, I would go Lance third. That might be unfair. Maybe it's right on, but I would go Stafford, Murray, Lance, and then whatever Seattle's going to throw out there.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Obviously, we're not even in preseason yet, technically, but yeah, whatever Seattle's got.
Fun question.
Yeah.
What if Seattle gets Jimmy Garoppolo?
Oh, okay. I will tell you this much. If Seattle gets Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't know that Trey Lance is going to be better than Jimmy Garoppolo, but I would say this. I think Trey Lance is going to have far more weapons than Jimmy Garoppolo. Apologies to DK Metcalf and friends. I think he's going to have far more weapons than Jimmy Garoppolo. Plus, Jimmy will be learning a brand new offense. So I still would probably bet on Trey Lance having better numbers.
Yeah, and I guess on that note, to Jay's point, I'd put Jimmy G third, and people might say that's crazy, but I'm going off of I've known he can get a team to a Super Bowl. I've seen him pass for nearly 4,000 yards and 20 plus touchdowns. I see the mistakes too. We're just all assuming, Trey Lance is gonna be great. Well, we don't know. He might be. But I would go into the year if Jimmy G was Seattle, I'd put Trey Lance fourth.
Okay. And
now that's going in, and it could change by 2 weeks.
And by the way, I would I want to point this out because, hey, we're doing sports radio.
Right.
And we're very aware, we're not obtuse about this, that this exercise on August 10th, I won't say it's futile. We all predict things. We all do mock drafts. We all guess who's going to be the Super Bowl champion, blah, blah, blah. But I would guess this much. I'll bet you that Freddie and Frankie in Kansas City a few years back probably did a where would you rank Patrick Mahomes in the AFC? And my guess is even them being homers had no clue that Patrick Mahomes would throw for 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards.
Right.
So we don't know. And of course, more often than not, it goes the opposite way and the guy tanks. Now we're looking at the NFC and just, again, you got to base it on weapons, projections, this and that. Trey Lance, I'll just run down a little bit here. Better Dak Prescott?
No,
I don't think so either. In fact, I think Dak and the Dallas Cowboys have a good chance of being the number one offense. Better than the Giants?
I feel like he will be. I mean, again, now you go to, okay, the Giants haven't been very good. Daniel Jones, he's not. He's just done it. He's been around. That's a really tough comparison, but, Daniel Jones also drafted very high. I guess we could flip them. If Trey Lance is on the Giants and Daniel Jones had the weapons, the 49ers, I think Daniel Jones would look better.
Jalen Hurts and the Eagles?
I think he's actually going to have a really good year. Just my own hunch on him, but similar maybe to Lance going in. I mean, he's got a little more experience than Lance, obviously.
And Carson Wentz in Washington.
I'm curious about him. Obviously, there's talent, but why is he bouncing so much? I just don't know if he's this is a total terrible speculation, but is he not a good locker room guy? Like, what's going on with him?
There's something. There's something. There's really something there. And I've always been kind of torn when it comes to Carson. Like, is Carson Wentz good? And I think most people say he's not. But I would also point out that Carson Wentz at times has looked very good.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's the team he was on in Philly. I don't know. I mean, Indy last year, he threw for 3,500 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 picks.
That on the surface, that sounds pretty good, but he had a really good team that didn't make the postseason.
Yeah. And how much of that is on him? I mean, you got a guy who's had 14 picks and 15 picks. One of those was his rookie year. Every other year in the league, he's had 7 picks a year. The guy is not, outside of those 2 years, interception prone, but there's something else with him, and it's that intangible of 3rd and 4, late in the 4th, down 5, you're on your own 30, you need a completion, and it's almost like the inverse of the baseball player that always hits the home run when the team's down 7 runs.
Yeah, the irrelevant homer.
Right, exactly. I think Carson Wentz is the irrelevant homer of the NFL. Moving on in the NFC, Chicago, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a rough year, but, Fields, that's who their guy is, but he's still figuring it out.
I don't know necessarily when you look at the situation. I mean, I'm assuming Deshaun Watson's playing not playing most or all of the season. Pittsburgh's got issues with Ben gone and the rookie maybe not even starting. And then in Baltimore is interesting. Because Lamar Jackson, this is a big year for him.
And that's, again, back to needing to win more meaningful games because he's been an MVP. The team has won a ton. He's got great stats, but it feels like it's incomplete for him where for some reason, right? There's other guys that have had stats similar to him that we just praise more than Lamar Jackson. There's still people saying he shouldn't be a quarterback. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Green Bay, no chance. Tampa Bay, no chance. We already went over the NFC West. I mean, honestly, you can put him in. I would take the potential of Trey Lance over what's going on in Detroit. Cousins is possibly a wash in Minnesota. Then you have what's going on in Atlanta. New Orleans is going to be interesting this year. New Orleans with the new coach, the new system, everything that goes there. Jameis Winston having glasses. Andy Dalton buying. Hey, the third string quarterback is in New Orleans, Jason? I don't expect you to.
Ian Book?
No, you did know. Our good friend Ian Book. How about that?
Yes, close personal friend of the show.
Yes, he is. All right. So,
the point there on the NFC, I think, Dave, is I don't know where Trey Lance is today, and I think really he has a potential to just skyrocket. I mean, I think you have Brady and Rodgers in their own category. Probably on their heels, someone like Dak. But with Wilson gone and other guys moving on, he has a real chance to really jump up there if he materializes that talent. If he can get to that talent.
A lot of Niner fans are asking this. would you feel more comfortable going into the season with another year of Jimmy Garoppolo? I wouldn't.
You wouldn't feel more comfortable.
I would feel, more comfortable in the sense that Jimmy Garoppolo, my wife got on me yesterday because I know, right? When I get home, it's like little Mr. Rogers thing. I change into whatever, clothes I'm going to wear that are comfortable, especially when it's hot outside. Generally, when I get home, my outfit is sandals, some form of loose fitting shorts, not material wise, like sweat shorts or something like that. And a sleeveless shirt in the summertime. And I have this one. It's an old Uriah Faber walkout shirt. It's sleeveless. I cut the sleeves off years ago. And it's one of those shirts every guy owns and many girls own. It's got holes all over it. The neck is detached from part of the shirt. It's time to go. And there's 2 big holes in the back. And she says, why don't you throw that away? And I go, why would I possibly throw it away? This is the most comfortable shirt I own. She goes, yeah, but it looks like moths got to it. Like, what's the deal? I'm not going to wear that shirt out in public, but I can tell you this much. When I go home, it's one of my most comfortable shirts. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo is that shirt.
That's your Jimmy G shirt.
That's my Jimmy G shirt. He is the old sock. He is the sleeveless shirt with holes in it. You know what you're getting out of Jimmy, and it's comfortable, and you've been there before, and it's familiar. It's like greeting an old friend. But
what's Trey Lance?
Trey Lance.
Fresh out of the package, brand new gift that just looks awesome.
He is the nice new name brand collared shirt that's hanging up, that you just got rid of those little wrinkles in the front from it being folded up, and you got a night out on the town plan. You're excited to wear it, but you haven't gone through the process of wearing it yet. What if it itches? What if it's too small on your neck? What if the sleeves are shorter than you thought? By the way, what if you throw it in the washer on hot and it shrinks? There's all kinds of unknowns, but if everything or most things work out properly, it's going to be a better shirt.
Yeah, it's a chance to get you compliments every time you wear it.
Yes.
You feel good when you're wearing it.
Yes.
You get that second look. You're just like, okay, I'm taking pictures. I want to wear that shirt. That kind of thing.
Exactly. Trey Lance is the collared shirt. Jimmy Garoppolo is a sleeveless shirt with holes in it that you wear to bed at night. We'll take a break. It's a big night in baseball last night. Not so much for the A's Giants. We'll talk about this next.
Check out the Golf to Go Hour with Frank LaRosa every week on Sactown Sports 1140. Get the latest on equipment, area courses, people that play the great game, and plenty of good conversations about golf. It's the Golf to Go Hour with Frank LaRosa. Thursday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. and Saturday morning from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Sactown Sports 1140. Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop, America's most awarded golf facility, and Naturewood Home Furnishings, where it's all about choices and always about quality. And Safe Credit Union. Let us put you first.
The more we learn about COVID-19, the more questions we have. The biggest question now, what's next? What will COVID bring in 6 months? A year? If you're feeling anxious about the future, you're not alone. Cal Hope offers free COVID-19 emotional support. Call 833-317-4673 or live chat at calhope.org today.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
The 94th most popular celebrity from Carmichael
How popular do you want to be?
meets a Celtics broadcasting legend.
Celtics are going to go for the win. Everybody here at Golden One Center on their feet.
The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross on Sactown Sports 1140.
So now a full count to Soto. 3-2. Here it comes from Cobb, and a swing and a towering drive to right field. That's going to tie the game. Juan Soto's first as a Padre is a no-doubter to right. Juan Soto gonna go.
Bing, bing, bing. That's what it sounds like to me. Juan Soto. That was a rope. That was a absolute chop and rope that Juan Soto smacked last night. He's so fun to watch.
He is. Finally got one for them. But, yeah, they're going to be – I know we were ripping them yesterday. Like, what's wrong with your team, Dave? Why can't the Padres score? But finally got some runs yesterday.
Juan Soto's just overall attitude and zest for the game is really what baseball needs. We were talking about endorsements and marketing earlier. Juan Soto's the type of guy, 23 years old. I could make an argument that you could put him right up there, top 4, top 5 in all 3 major American sports as most exciting and marketable in relation to the sport they play. He is the perfect example of somebody who just he like the dude who slid and his phone came out.
Yeah.
Juan Soto is dropping charisma all over the field. It's coming out of his pores. And yet it's sad to me, Jason, that we could probably grab 100 of our listeners and put Juan Soto and 20 other Major League Baseball players in street clothes. And I don't know what, 20% would be able to pick him out of a lineup, if that.
Yeah, maybe less.
If that. It was an absolute rope. Then we go to the Josh Hader inning in which the umpire fell asleep on the strike zone at one point, cost the Giants most likely a run. They go into the bottom of the 9th. There was a walk. Then Soto gets up. Weird situation because Soto goes to swing on a pitch in the dirt and hits the catcher's glove. It was not called interference on the field. They went and reviewed it, and I remember the booth saying, is this even reviewable? Apparently it was, and it was a very clear call. It was catcher interference.
They got it right.
Jason, I remember watching that, and I was watching with Melissa, and I said, I get it, and I get that's what you have to do, and I get that you have Machado behind you. But I remember saying, if I'm on Soto, do I really want the bat out of my hands?
Right. Because he was like, look, it hit, he was trying to campaign to get on base, but you're right. He could have been the hero.
And because he was having he was seeing the ball beautifully. It was his biggest night as a Padre. And I'm thinking, well, that basically amounts to an intentional walk. You're moving the runner over into scoring position, sure. So you have to do it, but I was wondering if that might have bit them in the butt. Manny Machado comes up. The defense, weirdly enough, right-handed Manny Machado, power hitter. The defense all shifts. They had straightaway in center field, but everybody else has shifted to the right side of the field, which I thought was incredibly interesting. It didn't matter.
Manny swings, hits it in the air to deep left. Peterson's going back. He's watching it. Gonna go! 3-run walk-off home run, Manny Machado. Forget about the blown save. 7-4. The Padres win it in the bottom of the 9th.
The middle of the Padres order, Jason. Actually, if you count Jurickson Profar, by the way, speaking of saving runs.
Oh, that was a great catch.
One of the best catches you're going to see, especially in a situation like that. A diving catch. Bases, I believe, were still loaded there. Diving catch and left to save probably 2 runs. And by the way, if that ball gets past him, you got 3 runs coming in easy. The top of that lineup, the 1, 2, 3, 4 hitters, go a combined 8 for 17 on the night with 5 runs batted in and scoring 7 runs. That's probably the type of work you're going to see. And Joe Musgrove, who gave up a home run in the very first inning, shut it down the rest of the way. He ends up going 7. Cobb, unfortunately for him, not his best stuff, but 5 innings, 3 earned. Everything was fine. Then Tyler Rogers comes in. He 2 hits. Serves it up. Serves up a big fat meatball to Machado. And the Giants' mini winning streak ends at 3.
It was feeling like maybe they were going to have, getting to Hader like they did might be a special win. Instead, it goes into the, I wouldn't say bad loss column because it would have been one they would have stolen. But unfortunately, it didn't go their way. I spent a lot of last night not only watching that game, but I was following my Yankees. They were in Seattle. And it was, what did they say, the longest scoreless game since they have changed the rules in 2019 or 2020 to put a runner on second.
Really?
It was 0-0 into the 13th. And it was just, the starting pitching was amazing with Castillo from the Mariners in his second start or third start. And then Garrett Cole was great. Just the amount of opportunities. I think I've become more of a fan, Dave, of that runner on second. I like it. It just puts every extra inning in a high leverage situation. Neither team could get any hits, but they're getting people, and the Yankees kept running into outs. It was awful. But the Mariners had bases loaded multiple times. They'd either get a strikeout or hit into a double play, but then finally they walked off the win. But it was, again, not every baseball game when you play 162 has much to it. The Seattle crowd is so into it. I mean, we're starving for the Kings to get in.
Yeah.
Seattle has this long, long drought, and they were into the game. Plus, the Yankees were there, so you got a big crowd. It just had such great intensity to it, which was a lot of fun.
The Mariners currently a half game ahead of the Rays and 1 game behind the Blue Jays for the top spot in the AL wild card. And I agree with you. I think the Mariners are a great story. They've gone all in this year, making moves at the deadline. As you mentioned, Castillo. Oh my goodness! But with Castillo and Garrett Cole, they combined for 15 in this day and age of starters going past 5 innings is almost a rarity now. They combined for 15 innings, 7 hits, 2 walks, absolutely 0 runs, and 15 strikeouts.
Yeah, and then you watch. I honestly don't see a lot of Seattle baseball, and I was watching it, and they had Eugenio Suarez, who came over from the Reds. He's batting, and the graphic comes up when he's up, and I think it's the most home runs in baseball since 2019 is him. And I went, wait, I would have never ever. He was 1 ahead of Aaron Judge, and the others on the list. You're like, yeah, that makes sense, but I would have never guessed he has the most home runs in the major leagues in the last 3 years.
Also, the only guy to do that with 5 syllables in his first name in Major League Baseball history.
That's tough.
Yeah, it is absolutely tough. In the meantime, you have Giants Padres. You have a huge matchup with the Mariners and Yankees. And then you had a home crowd in Oakland treated to watching Shohei Ohtani do Shohei Ohtani things like this.
Ohtani to right field. I think he did. He has passed Ichiro for the second most home runs by a Japanese-born player, 118 of his career. And he now has the team lead with 25. He's the starting pitcher. It's 5-0 Halos.
6 innings, 7 runners for Ichiro, 5 strikeouts. His ERA is down to 2.68. He goes 2 for 3 in the 2 spot and hits his 25th home run on top of 66 RBI. It is just, and sorry, A's fans, I know you don't want to hear this, but I would say this if you do the same thing to my Giants. I honestly would. It is such a pleasure to watch this guy.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's such a thing as being underrated, but I think he is.
I agree.
And, Dave, I think back, and I don't know if this is a fair comp, but like when we treated the averaging a triple-double in the season as such a unicorn, and Oscar Robertson had done it, no one had done it, and Westbrook had that season, and we went nuts, and then he does it once, and then we're done with him, even though he did it 3 straight years. Anybody doing anything that's linked to Babe Ruth should get crazy amount of attention, and I just don't think it gets enough. He won his 10th game. He had his 25th home run.
Yep.
The team stinks, and he's the shining star on that team and maybe in all of baseball. It's just amazing what he's doing.
We got a lot of sports to wrap up, including the Live Golf Tour getting a bogey in court against the PGA. We'll discuss what that means next.
Sactown Sports 1140 is broadcasting live on YouTube.
To me, it's the most watched.
Check out the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross and the Cattles and Rami Show. Plus, get exclusive content. Search Sactown Sports 1140 on YouTube.
Hey there, Jason Ross here to tell you about ACR Solar. Now, of course, ACR Solar does solar. We are going to look at that with them for sure, but where got us connected with them first is being a longtime homeowner, and we have an older home, and we love our old home, but part of the problem is right before we moved in, we realized, boy, our roof's okay, but at some point, we're going to need to get a new roof. We're there. Our roof is shot. It's not leaking yet, but it's going to happen. And so after consulting with multiple, and you should do 3, we did 3. ACR Solar will probably tell you the same, but that's where we landed. We landed on ACR Solar to help us with our new roof. The project's going to get started here very soon. Once we met with Joe, their roof expert came out and met with us, and the connection was perfect. It just made sense. There were other people that had good offers and know their craft, but we just connected with Joe, his experience, and we know we're going to be in good hands with him. We know we're going to be in good hands with ACR Solar. It's a big investment, and it's something we're taking seriously, and I know they are, and they want us to be a happy customer. So I'm so excited to get this project started, and we're ultimately going to have a new roof, the teardown's coming, all that stuff. We're getting on their schedule, and it's coming. So if you're in a situation like us where, winter is coming, I know we're right in the middle of summer here, but the winter is coming. You don't want to be in that spot like, hey, are we going to make it through another season with our shaky roof? So don't be in that spot. Contact ACR Solar, and I'm telling you, they will treat you right, and you'll feel very, very good about your roofing project. 916-481-7200, 916-481-7200, or look them up on the web at acrsolar.com.
When the world's best players get fitted for new golf clubs, they want to see their ball flight outdoors. And why should you settle for any less? The Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio is the area's
It's the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross. The only local sports show in the morning on Sactown Sports 1140.
It's one of those times where I know we're on YouTube, but what we're not going to do is serve only the YouTube audience. The vast majority of you listening, of course, listening on the air, on the app. So check out the Sactown Sports 1140 app. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the thumbs up. Make MC happy, please. But this is one of those times where TV show would work far better. If you haven't had a chance, make sure you seek it out. The best thing you're going to see all day, and maybe you saw it yesterday, Little League World Series, pitcher hits the batter in the head. A scary situation at any point, but especially when you're dealing with 12-year-old kids. Thankfully, the batter was fine, got up, went to first base. But the pitcher, and I think like everyone who's played a sport at any level, especially that young, and that kind of pressure cooker, the pressure in the Little League World Series on these kids is almost tough to watch at times. And the pitcher was clearly upset. He was crying. He was really in his emotions. And you felt so badly for him. And I think everybody watching, whether you're a parent or not, just wish they could reach through the TV and hug him. And then what happens? This kid at first base who just got hit in the noggin walks over to the pitcher, and he doesn't do a slap on the butt. He doesn't do a, little handshake. He hugs the guy, and he sits there and he hugs him. And the rest of the team kind of gathers around, and he talks to him and says, "You're doing just great. Don't worry about it." And it was just one of those things. It's just such a stupid, scary, argument-filled cesspool of a world right now, especially if you're anywhere on social media. It's great to see those things. Sports at its best has a way of bringing out the best in humanity, and it's the kids that will light the way for us. If you haven't had a chance, and Jason, sounds like you've seen it, take a look.
Well, I not only have seen it, but then back to your point, Dave, I did read a bunch of the comments on where it was first posted, and a majority of them, sportsmanship, look good for him.
Yeah.
Then no, that's his plate. He owns it. That's not sportsmanship. You got to throw inside. I'm like, okay, first of all, if we're really doing that, like inside, when people say like that's my plate, is brush someone back. It's close. That was so far. That was in the box, the batter's box that he threw it. And he hit him in the head. I mean, come on, guys, what are we doing? And it's Twitter, so you go, all right, is this person being serious? I kind of feel like they are. You just don't know.
There was a whole comment section I read, unfortunately, and I know exactly what you're talking about. And the majority of humans are like, "Oh, that's so fantastic." But then, of course, you have
the non-human
toxic Fred in there that's like, "Boy, save that for after the game, dude. You're in the middle of a game. You got to man up, bro. There's no trophy set." And you know what? Those are
Toxic Fred, by the way, Dave, is banned from Little League State Park.
Should be. Toxic Fred's the same guy that's hammering the umpire.
Right.
He's the same guy that rips on his friends for putting fruit in their beer. He's the same guy that's rolling around in a car, vehicle that gets 4 miles a gallon with bumper stickers and flags on it. He's just and just honestly, it's Little League. They're 12, or as somebody said in the chat, 40 if you're Danny Almonte. Whatever age they are, it's a tough situation. And be a freaking human. The ones that say you got to that just need they need to go to an island, forever. Just they can have their own island where there's no second place and there's no trophies and everyone's raised to be a man.
Just let me know where it is so I won't vacation there.
Oh my God, could you imagine the amusement parks? Oh, hey, it's the Oklahoma drill. All right, let's do that.
Everybody line up.
Look, it's the straight whiskey booth. Yep, drink it, no ice. Federal judge yesterday said no to 3 LIV golf players who wanted to compete in this week's FedEx Cup playoffs, giving the PGA Tour at least temporary support as it faces this whole uprising with the Saudi Arabian-backed Invitational Series. The decision was very narrowly tailored, but it was a victory. It did undercut the LIV Golf Tour, which 11 players, including Phil Mickelson and Bryson DeChambeau, sued the tour because they can't play the FedEx Cup. Only 3, Taylor Gooch, Matt Jones, and Hudson Swafford, asked the judge to order that they be allowed to compete in the playoffs. The judge said she did not believe the players would suffer irreparable harm if they were not allowed to play, a vital legal standard to secure a temporary restraining order. Because of the guaranteed paid contracts with LIV Golf. They'll be earning more than they've made and could reasonably have expected to make in a reasonable period of time with the PGA Tour. And she also said the arrangements between LIV Golf and the players had been negotiated with the potential loss of the PGA Tour compensation in mind. I think that's a right deal. I think that's a right ruling. How can you argue you're being permanently hurt when you voluntarily entered into a contract that pays you far more money than you could have reasonably expected to make in the PGA? It's one of those cake and eat it too type of things. I don't think that's how the LIV Golf Tour is going to eventually get the PGA to the negotiation table. I think it's going to be with them slamming golfers out of there like DeChambeau. Like, I got to be honest, I'm looking forward to the FedEx Cup. I think it's an absolute blast of 4 weeks. But I'm going to miss Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau, and I'm going to miss a lot of these guys that could be involved in it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, this has all been really fast this calendar year. Like, what what is golf? Not the sport necessarily. Well, yeah, I guess the sport. What's it going to look like in a year, 2 years? How is this going to be parceled out? Like, I think PGA has to think of the Live Tour as a definite threat, but are they going to become the prominent, tour? Or I just really want to see how this goes.
I do too. And we still don't have confirmation officially. When we talked to you yesterday, it was about Cam Smith leaving the tour. That was a fellow Australian golfer who had mentioned that and tried to backtrack and said, hey, I'm just talking about what's being said amongst other players. I'm not trying to break the news here. Well, dude, you already said too bad he's gone. So he tried to back off of it. Cam Smith was asked about it. He's really bad at doing this, by the way. He responded something like, I'm just here to win the FedEx Cup. I'm not here to talk about that. I fully expect that report is true, that Smith and Leishman will be gone. And then something interesting here, and this is just, I fully admit that this is a little conspiratorial of me, but it does a little bit match up. This is one of the people rumored, and has been rumored for a while. There was a withdrawal from the St. Jude Championship. Now, due to a neck injury, Hideki Matsuyama has withdrawn. That's one of the names that keeps showing up. Now, if he ends up, he did say, I want to, I'm going to get out of this one so that I can finish the rest of the FedEx Cup. And I don't know why it would behoove him to leave prior, but that's a name, along with what was Cam Smith. That's a name that a lot of PGA fans are looking at very, very closely, who's been rumored to leave.
Yeah. I mean, again, it feels like, I don't know if there's one a week, but it's happening. And the exodus has been more rapid than I think I thought it would be.
I agree. And it just kind of goes to show you that money is
still pretty powerful in this world, isn't it?
Money is very powerful. And again, we go back to what I call the FP Santangelo corollary with steroids. The question here is not just money. It's one thing if Jay or you or me were offered life-changing money by a questionable source to do sports radio somewhere else. Well, we aren't rich by any of the stretch of the imagination. Our grandkids' futures are not guaranteed. And whereas in the PGA's case, they're all rich. Almost every name you've heard is already generationally wealthy, and they are choosing more wealth on top of that, much like, again, the difference between a guy like FP Santangelo recovering from injuries and taking performance enhancers when he was on the edge of losing his career and he hadn't made a ton of money, versus a Barry Bonds taking them. They're both wrong, but I do think there are levels of wrong.
And I know some of the golfers have expressed other issues, whether it's 4 days, the locations of the tournaments, how much travel. In the end, all of that could be a factor, but it's the money, right? I mean, I know they'll talk you into, well, I'm also doing this for this, this, and this. Sure. But it's the money.
ESPN just put out a summer forecast for the NBA. Their picks for the Eastern, Western Conference champions and NBA champions. In the Eastern Conference, 42% of first place votes go to the Boston Celtics. They're followed at 36% by the Bucks. And then way down the list at 10%, the Sixers, the Heat, and then the Cavs and Raptors both got a vote. Nowhere there is Brooklyn. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but nowhere there is Brooklyn. On the Western Conference side, 52.6% say the Warriors. Jason, you want to take a guess as to who they have at second? 52.6% say the Warriors will win the West. 31.6% say this team.
Well, I hope it's the team. I don't hope. I'm not rooting for them per se, but I think the Clippers are going to be good. So I would say Clippers.
I would have guessed the Suns. You are correct. The Clippers. 31.6%, followed by the Suns at half the points of the Clippers. Then way down the list, the Mavs, the Nuggets, and then a couple of votes for the Timberwolves. The Grizzlies coming in at seventh.
Last year's 2 seed.
Yeah, with 4 points. I do not see the Kings on that list, which may have been a typo.
Yeah, it may have been a typo, is right.
When it comes to who ESPN writers and folks believe will win the title next year, this is their summer projection. 36.8% say the Warriors. 26.3% say the Clippers. Followed by the Celtics at 10%, the Bucks at 10%, the Heat at 5%, and then the Suns, Nuggets, Timberwolves, Sixers, and Mavericks bringing up the rear. So the Clippers going into this year, Lot of lot of expectation, and you know what? I completely get it. We'll take a break. We've got news. We got celebrity birthdays. What day of the week is it? We wrap up the show next.
You want more Kings coverage? Sactown Sports 1140 is giving it to you.
You know, you'll be watching and thinking, man, like, I guess Keegan, he's maybe not as good today. And then you look up and he's got, 12 and 8, and it's, the second quarter, and he is just so calm, so efficient.
I think it's absolutely what Sacramento needs. I think there's this sense that something special is starting to fall into place.
Log on to SactownSports.com for exclusive content. SactownSports.com.
Lions are great. They have Shark Week. Why don't they have Lion Week? You know why? Because lions are kind of boring.
They have a new movie out with Idris Elba.
They do?
And a lion, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Beast.
Really?
I so.
love Idris Elba. No, I'm sure you're right. Every year on August 10th, lion lovers around the globe use this day to bring awareness to the declining population of lions. Well, that's not right. We want all the lions we
that they're bringing awareness.
Yeah,
aren't they on Hard Knocks?
Roar, roar, roar. G-Man.
Kings getting together here as they bang each other at midcourt and then head toward the bench.
Today is World Lion Day, so go ahead and acknowledge that. It's also, and I've been waiting for this one.
Depending on the spelling of lion, that can go a whole different way.
That's a great point. Today is National Connecticut Day. Guys, your favorite?
What?
It's National Connecticut Day.
Why? Because it has two ends?
How to observe it. Explore all the adventures Connecticut has to offer.
Like what?
New Haven?
Oh, yes.
I'm sure there's cool things about Connecticut.
Bristol.
Yeah.
You have ESPN headquartered there, and you have the WWE headquartered there.
There you go. What's
at that. The state capital?
Bridgeport, right?
No.
I thought it was, isn't it New Haven?
No. I think, unless I'm wrong.
Hold on.
Hartford, I believe.
Oh, I think you're 100%.
Which one's Montpelier?
That's New Hampshire. Yeah, Hartford is the capital of Connecticut. Shame on me for not knowing that.
Yeah, you're dumb.
That's dumb of me. It is National, I do like this one, National S'mores Day. Gentlemen, favor yay or nay on s'mores?
Yay. Overwhelming yay.
Jason?
Underwhelming yay. They're fine. They're fine. I would have a list of about 25 desserts before that.
Wow.
Well, I understand.
25's a lot.
I think I agree with him there. I think
really?
Well, it depends. Okay. Are we generalizing? So it can't be like cookies.
No, what I'm saying, have you guys ever done s'mores instead of Hershey's? You use Reese's peanut butter cups?
100%.
Oh, it's the move.
That sounds great.
Oh, Jason, it will change your s'more opinion.
I take a bag of miniatures, Hershey's miniatures, because Mr. Goodbar makes for a wonderful s'more, and then also Reese's cups. But let's be honest, the appeal of s'mores. I have a couple kitchen gadgets here and there. One of the kitchen gadgets I have is a s'more maker, and you put in the graham cracker, the chocolate, the marshmallow.
I'm sorry, that just registered. You have a s'more maker?
I have a s'more maker. You put the ingredients and you put the s'more sandwich up and you microwave it, and boom, it's a s'more. And it's
cheating.
It's yummy, and it tastes like s'mores, and the marshmallow is melty and the chocolate is soft. But the appeal of s'mores is like 75%. Roasting the marshmallow, you're around a campfire. You can't just have a s'more in your living room.
Right.
You can, but it sucks. It's not the same.
It's not the point.
No, it's not the point at all. And finally, it's my favorite day. It's National Lazy Day. How do you celebrate National Lazy Day?
Oh, I got an idea.
I don't know.
Let me throw this out there. Be lazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to look it up.
It says, take this test to prepare yourself for the day. Lazy people, fact number 724-321-437-264-13424. If you were too lazy to read that number, you're ready to celebrate. Celebrate birthdays today. What's celebrity birthdays? Jason?
Yes, it is August the 10th. So these people are celebrating a birthday today. Happy birthday, guys. And you guys can play on our YouTube and in the car and at home. Kylie Jenner.
Oh, Kylie.
Keeping up with the Jenners. How old is Kylie today?
33.
Kylie's 26.
Jamar is 25.
Wow. Hey, wait, is Kylie the youngest one? Is she the one that's the billionaire with the makeup?
Yes.
I you know what? I don't know.
You confusing your Jenners and Kardashians again?
Yeah, I don't know them at all.
Ryan and Sactown under 30 Earl, they both got it. Happy birthday today to Ja Morant.
The Ja.
I'm going to say he is 23.
I'm going to go 22.
He is 23.
Boom. Nailed it. I know my Ja Morant's more than I know my Kylie Jenner's. That's kind of
clearly.
Happy birthday to Antonio Banderas.
Antonio Banderas. Antonio Banderas is probably 94, but he looks 40.
Somewhere in between.
I'm going to say 60.
I'll say 67.
Carmichael Dave gets the win, 62 for Antonio Banderas. I'm going to give you this next one, their name, but you'll need a hint for it. Jake Stone. Jake Stone is the actor that plays Jake from State Farm in all those commercials.
Oh God.
How old is Jake from State Farm?
First off, I like that Jake from State Farm is actually Jake.
I know. I'm like, is this real? But that's what it says.
By the way, and Dad, he says, my dad texts me, presuming your s'more maker is metal, how do you microwave it? It's not. It's plastic. It's right next to my Egg McMuffin maker where you crack an egg in and microwave that. That's one of my favorite inventions, by the way.
Also, tell your dad to hit the thumbs up button in this.
Yeah,
come on. I'm sure he always does. Jake Stone from State Farm is 32.
I'm going to say 31.
Jake from State Farm is 37.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, rank worst, best to not as best. Jake from State Farm, Flo, and what's her face from the AT&T commercials? I don't know her name, but she's in every AT&T. The lady.
It goes Flo, Jake, AT&T.
Okay.
Yeah, Flo's pretty great.
Yeah, Circle gets the square. I agree with you 100%. I think that's exactly what it is. Flo messages well. That's what I was going to say, Jay, but geez.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm chauvinistic.
Moving on.
Andre Drummond.
Oh, God.
50. You know what? This is going to be one of those younger than I think. Andre Drummond is 30.
I was going to say, I'm going to go 30.
No, you can't.
Yes,
I picked 30.
can.
No, that's a rule.
No, it's not.
We have never had a situation where
yes, we have. You just don't pay attention.
I'm switching.
Ever.
Fine, 31.
Dave, you made the wrong move. 29.
Son of a...
You talked yourself out of
shots.
it. Yeah. Okay, one more.
Yeah.
John Starks.
Oh, gosh.
Guys, this is weird.
You know this, don't you?
No, I don't think I. On a list of things you probably didn't expect today. What is today? Wednesday? I talked to John Starks last Friday on the phone.
Here.
I swear on my kids.
Game's over.
I called a buddy of mine who was at a golf tournament, and he goes, "Hey, say hi to John Starks."
No, not.
Puts John on speaker. I was not prepared to talk to John Starks, especially since he turns 52 today.
54.
57 for your close personal friend, John Starks.
Hate you, John Starks. For John Starks, Jay Mars, Jason Ross, I'm Carmichael Dave. Jim Rome is next. Love you all. Bye-bye now.
Breaking news, the latest happenings with your favorite teams.
Do you ever wonder about what the heck all these kids are doing on computers all the time?
Stay up to date with all of it by following us on Instagram and Twitter.
Excuse me, gentlemen, a little update for you.
At Sactown 1140.
Now, local businesses can get closer to every customer in their city